Hello, everybody, and welcome to Stat Check. This is episode 34. They came from the land down under, which is possibly the worst title we've ever had.
It's up there. It is up there. Yeah, I had no knowledge of how bad this was going to be. I'm leaving. It's terrible.
I am Innes, and I am joined, as always, by Nathan and Anthony, and by recurring, almost always here, Jeremy, and long time around, first time on the show, Adam Camilleri. How are you all doing?
My absolute pleasure. It turns out if you're just a random person in the community and just happen to be a Patreon of this show, you'll get on it eventually.
That's right.
We're just that desperate for guests.
That's it. Bottom of the barrel.
You'll get us eventually. It's time and persistence.
Yes.
Perfect. So it's been a busy week for a lot of us. Some of us were at events. Some of us were doing very, very other things. Let's start off. Adam, how have you been? What's been going on in the world of Adam? I understand that you're on a bit of a whirlwind tour now. So do you want to tell us a bit about what's going on with you?
The whirlwind has grinded to somewhat of a halt. I found myself back in the Art of War Trap House, where I will be for the next kind of 5 weeks.
Nice.
One of those weeks will be spent over at Adepticon. Another one I'm going to be going to a 90-player GT in Valdosta, I believe, which is like an hour away from here. But apart from that, yeah, I'm just going to be hanging out in the Trap House, playing some new benches and some bits and pieces, and yeah, just generally trying not to be the worst player in the house.
Heard you were experimenting with a new army, Adam.
Oh, there's a couple. So I've very notably taken a break from Dark Angels after playing them, maining them essentially. Apart from WTC, I didn't play anything but Dark Angels for 4 years, and now they're good, and I'm not playing them.
Classic.
I'm out. But so I've been playing a bit of GKs. Took them to Cherokee Open, which I did all right. Went 5-1, so 4-1-1. Only lost to Lennon on the top table in the last round. So he iron-handed me. It happens. He got to place the first terrain piece in the middle. It turns out that's just about all she, Yay, FLG. Even though it really good tables. So they did a really good thing. They dropped off all the bad tables. Like there was no Necron table, there was no Hanger table. Like it was really, really good. They did a good job. And yeah, so I'm also becoming a Renegade 9 player, it turns out. On the drive back from Cherokee to Tallahassee, because we gunned it like 7.5 hours all the way back, Lennon was just getting into me, speaking to my soul, Adam, and I was just like, oh my god, these guys are fun. But it turns out you cannot buy a War Dog model in North America, and therefore the world.
It's very difficult.
That does sound like what North America is.
Yeah.
Good. So you enjoy being back over in the States?
I do. It's lovely. It feels like second home. It's really quite nice. I spent a week in New Orleans and got all of Mardi Gras. Got full Mardi Gras, and it was a hell of a time. But it was too much. I don't party like I used to, boys. It's just nah.
Are you going to be recharged by the time we get to WTC? I think you only get that much gas once a year, Adam.
Me, yes, yeah, that's all right. I'll fume up for Mechalin. That's okay. I'm only like I'm not playing this year, so don't need it as much in the tank.
Could be that Wednesday night, Adam. It's always about that Wednesday night.
Oh, dude. Dead set.
For reference, for anybody who's not aware, the WTC Wednesday night is typically the night that's the weird one, other than the Sunday, because everybody's landed. Thursday isn't a gaming day, so you just get to do whatever you want that day. It's usually a lot of everything.
It's the blow off steam before the stressful bit. It's the kind of all the boys and the players like to de-stress a bit, so it can get a little messy.
And see everybody you've not seen in a year. That's
exactly right. Everyone's catching up, buying each other drinks. How you doing? Haven't seen you in 12 months, blah, blah, blah. Oh, you got kids now? It sucks to be you. Let's go.
Yeah.
This is the one event you do a year now? Congrats.
Yeah. This is it, yeah. This is the pinnacle of your life. Hayden Walduck, congratulations. You just had a baby last night.
He did. Congrats,
Ducky.
Beautiful, beautiful baby girl. Are you wearing Ducky's shirt?
No, this is Eric's.
Of course it is.
The only one that would fit him.
Hey,
Ducky's would fit. Ducky's would fit. He might be in abilities, but Tony V's got a bit of chest about him.
Yeah, I'm a wide boy. I'm working on reducing that, but like right now, still works.
Aren't we all?
Nathan, how about yourself? How's your last week in 40K been?
We launched the TTS League for the Patreon, which is just wild in scope. There are 70 people in the TTS League. So we delayed it because I'm now going to call it probably the world's hardest TTS League because we delayed it so Liam Hackett could join.
Because he messaged me 30 minutes before Nathan was going to start it. Was like, "Hey, you doing a TTS league? Is it too late for me to join?" And I was like, "Never too late for you." And
So I got just a ping, and it was just like, "Can you wait just like a second?" And so we got Liam in real quick. So there's just
there's
I don't
72
know.
people in that event now. Like 8 of them, 10 of them are WTC
Stacked.
players.
Stacked.
It's vaguely terrifying.
Can
It
we
is a
like?
front page
Can
of
we-
BCP #1 result.
it's true.
Is there a bigger 40K hoe than Liam Hackett right now?
No, probably not. Right?
The
Surely
dude
not.
is just cannot. He just swims in it. He breathes
He's-
it. It's intense. And well done.
He's gaming.
It works. Yeah,
Hey, man, if you got the time and the dedication and you're at the top of your game, why wouldn't you?
and he's a
Yep.
literal doctor. If you haven't heard,
Yep.
or if he hasn't told you yet.
Yeah, the second message after him telling me that he wanted in the league was him being like, "I'm going to be a little stressed for like a couple days because I have a giant career-defying medical exam on Friday." And I was like, "So you thought that you would just gently ease up that workload with another thing to do on
That's
top
how he
of
does
it?"
it. That's how he does it.
Look,
Just
sometimes
comes
you gotta
naturally.
you got to make time for the things that make you happy in life. Sometimes you can't.
Yeah.
Otherwise-
Jeremy, what about yourself?
I've been slowly hobbying up 20 wardens for someone for 3 weeks from now.
It's not
Aside
me.
from that, it's definitely not you. But it's been kind of quiet on my front. I've got All Is Dust coming up in 3 weeks' time, and then the Canhammer Team Tournament, both of which I'm judging. But I'm not playing in an event for like another 7 weeks, which is very weird for me.
You weren't at Barry Bash this weekend, were you?
No, I wasn't. I came about this close to going, and then I was reminded by my wife that it was my father's birthday on Friday and my father-in-law's birthday on the Sunday.
Reasonable reason not to go.
Wow.
Seems tough to pull off an event in that space.
Yeah.
Also very interesting that there's those two father figures in your life and their birthdays are so adjoining. That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah,
What a coincidence.
very
Yeah.
close.
It makes every single year very amusing as we negotiate who's going to celebrate on which day.
Ah, love
Who
it.
gets the Saturday? It's the eternal brawl.
Yep.
What about you, Anthony? Anything up to much?
I play a lot of 40K now. The coaching
Really?
and the USA practice and the USA actually practicing and the organizing of the scrims with the other countries that do the practice has means that Anthony doesn't have a lot of free time anymore. So yeah. I basically eat, sleep, breathe matrices and tiny world eater optimizations now. On top of like trying to stay like vaguely functional on all the factions. So if one of our like prospects or players ask me a question, I don't have a stupid answer to give them.
Yep. Welcome to captaining, buddy. It's what it's
all right,
like.
Yep.
Listen,
You just
Sean is the captain.
You just described all of the things a captain does as things
fine.
you're currently engaged in.
It's fine. Sean is in charge. If someone needs to be told something, Sean will tell them.
Sean
I
is very much grooming Anthony right now. We can
you'll,
all basically see the dog grooming brush right there on your shoulder, buddy.
you'll know when Anthony's broken when he submits a Red Angels army list.
Too late.
Too late.
He did. He submitted it to the TTS League.
Yeah.
And the circle is complete. The prophecy has been enacted. It's only downhill from here, mate. Sorry. Mental health, it's gone.
It's such a promising singles career. Anyway, so yeah, I've been doing a lot of that. I was in Scotland for a week. That was fucking awesome. So that was real cool. We're past the Chris window, right? That's 9 minutes. Yeah, we're good.
It's like 15 seconds, dude.
Yeah, easy. So yeah, that was sweet. That was real cool. We were there for a while. Anna crushed the travel despite being a little anxious about traveling initially, but she did an awesome job throughout the entire thing. So that was dope. Got to see a lot of really cool stuff. Turns out there's a castle in Edinburgh, in case people didn't know.
Where's that? We didn't see it.
It's right on top of the hill. It's real big. If your friends aren't jerks and point it out, it's easy to notice. So yeah. I've been real busy. I thought that I was like, I've not done a lot of 40K in the last month. And then I was like, all right, so this weekend's a practice weekend with TJ and Jim. Then next weekend's a GT. Then is all is dust. Then is like a week or two off. And then I fly to Poland to go to Austria to do a teams tournament. So,
Dude.
you know.
But that week's going to be great.
That week's going to be nuts.
Which
But
is
yeah.
the event in Austria?
The Alpine Cup.
It's Alpine,
So,
yeah? Sick.
yeah, it's gonna be a
Thursday show.
we have an insane team for it. It's gonna be dope. We're gonna get in there and fuck shit up. Because as much as everyone on it was like, we'll go and we'll drink. Like 3 weeks ago, we were like, we should talk about armies. And then like 2 weeks ago, we started looking at maps. And like in the last week, the chat has been very active. So I was like, oh, so we're not just going to drink then, we're going to try.
Look, we are going to drink, but we have issues as people.
Yeah.
No, I get it. Like, I understand what the intent was to go and party. I just, let's just be honest with ourselves.
A large portion of my ego is tied to my win rate. Like,
I get it. But yeah, so that's gonna be awesome. I'm basically living with Typhus for a week, so that's gonna be dope. In the lead up to, and then we're driving from Poland to Austria, and then I'm staying like 2 days after. I'm off the Monday and the Tuesday, and then I'm flying back the Tuesday. So yeah, that's gonna be gaming. So yeah, that's my future. Hello, I have not been on for a bit.
I mean, you tried to be real hard.
The effort was made, just got betrayed by my internet twice.
If you upgraded?
No, I just yelled at them until they fixed it. And
That works.
sometimes if you have knowledgeable yelling, that works.
This is also how we capped Team America, by the way.
I don't
Knowledgeable
captain Team
yelling.
America, so that's you say whatever you want.
As for myself, I have been very much living in exactly the same world Anthony has for shocking reasons. That Home Nations is coming up for Team Scotland, so we've got a 8-person team event down in Wales at the start of the month. So we're very much in prep mode for that now because we're playing against England and Sweden and Netherlands, and we'd like to do well. So we've gone into full on prep mode for that. Other than that, I've got like 5 events in the next 6 weeks to make sure that I get no free time either. Can't complain. Was at an RTT last weekend, tried out Dark Angels. It was the dullest experience of my life, but I dropped 4 battle points in 3 games, which seemed like I'd made no choices on that path. I sure did raise banners on turn 1.
Walk
3
forwards, maybe charge something.
Yeah, it was
Your
great. The
opponent
night
doesn't
player
do anything to
put
you.
a guy putting out in the middle objective, and I went, "You killed a guy in this squad because your entire army shot and killed 2 Terminators. I'm gonna res at the front and charge you." It was great. Sure did.
Much
Sure
tactical
did
play.
make thought. Great time. Dark Angels is very boring. The Talon Master's cool. I enjoyed the Talon Master. He's good fun.
If
He
only
gets
we
to
could
fly
take
about in the
3.
backfield with his 4 strength 5 AP3 attacks. Because he doesn't get to have any relics or warlord traits.
Wow.
It's great. So yeah, that's been it for me. Not been up to much besides the whole, living 40K thing now. But
How's coaching
can't
going?
complain. It's going really well, actually. I'm having a good time with it. A lot of people are giving me really positive feedback, which has been really cool. Nobody's been like, "Yeah, you suck," yet, which has been nice.
Ideally.
It's always living perpetual fear that somebody's just gonna be like, "Yeah, so you're actually shit at this." But nobody's said that to me yet. So I mean,
Not
at
yet.
least can't be doing.
I will say,
badly.
the one bit of feedback that I have been given on you is you pack so much into a very short window of time that they often have to record you just to write down all the notes.
See, I feel like I'm not saying enough. So,
So you're doing just fine.
oh Christ. No, I have no idea. I always feel like I'm like if I stop talking for like 3 seconds, I feel like they're not getting their money's worth. So I just keep talking. So yeah, maybe I should just ease up on the speed a little bit. I mean, myself and Adam. I don't know if anybody listened to our episode on the Down Under network. We get fast quickly when we talk to each other, especially.
There was a cheeky comment at the start. Which of Adam and Inez will have spoken more words by the end of the podcast?
Looks
It'd be
big as
great
well.
if someone like had like a clicker and went through.
Oh my god, the RSI on that thumb.
Yeah, that's true.
Use that to power a small country.
Yeah. If you could turn word, like spoken word, into energy, sweet. Yeah, we'd have this locked down. Clean energy for all.
There you go. Clean.
That's what I was going to say. Clean.
Filth-ridden
Sure.
energy that you can put to a decent purpose.
There you go.
Excellent.
Perfect. So with that, let's move on to covering the actual meat of the show. And we're going to let Nathan and Jeremy take over for a little bit and talk about the general stats and statistics for the week. I realize it was the same thing. I'm going to mute and stop talking.
So there are two things we're going to talk about this week. First, we'll do the weekly overview. Then we're going to recap some of the overall meta health. And then we're going to talk a little bit about an awesome article that Cliff wrote that's published over on Goonhammer. And then I'm going to drag out an additional example because everybody says we're being mean to Space Marines. But first, we're going to talk about the last week in 40K. When we break down the numbers, I'm going to ignore the fact that Death Watch is on top. There was only one person who played them this weekend. We have Gene Stealer Cult at the high point for win rate, making up 4.3% of the meta, which feels like that's the most meta representation Gene Stealer Cult has ever had in the history of Gene Stealer Cult, with a 63.2% win rate, an event win, 4 top 4s, 8 top 10s, and a 2.57 over rep, which is just absolutely wild. Especially because now I can't just say it's because of their underrepresentation in the meta as a whole, but in fact, actually, that Gene Stealer Cult may be good.
Shocked. Did we not call
Shocked.
that like a month ago?
We
Like
did.
when Arcs dropped, we were like, GSC is going to be a top 3 army.
Not to
We definitely
blow-
did.
Not to blow too much smoke, but there's a handful of predictions we've had about like upcoming metas that have been like bang on, like the proliferation of Alpha Strike armies coming into Nephilim and Arcs.
It's almost like we know what we're talking about
Sometimes.
I think I went on even on my show and said Orcs and GSC are the new Necrons, are the Arcs Necrons.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, don't worry. Orcs are definitely in here somewhere because orcs have been doing well every week. Drukhari are actually in second place, discounting Death Watch, although their meta representation has fallen off a cliff and they're at Harlequin numbers with 1.8%. They're actually like one player above the point where I usually just disregard the data. They have 11 players from this last weekend, but they had a 57.3% win rate, an event win, 2 top 4s, and 3 top 10s, and an over rep that doesn't matter because it's hyper inflated by their participation. Had
An
a 3
event win?
Yeah.
they won an
the
event.
fuck?
They have an over rep of 3.04, which is only because their meta representation is so low that it hyperinflates their over rep ratio, which happens. There's like 12 dedicated people, well, less than 12 because it was 11 dedicated people to Drukhari apparently left in the world. One of them must be Scary.
He
Although I
was
don't
running
know
an
if he won
event.
this
He's
event.
not even in those stats.
He's not.
he's
It's
not
like
even
the
in
one
there.
weekend. The only way they win is when Skyry's energy is not there.
By the way,
Like-
do you want to know who it was that won?
Who is this
Ooh.
champion of the people?
This champion is Rasmus Valon Fredriksson. He won Norse Hammer Open.
Oh.
I
Oh,
have
Rasmus is a
updated-
good dude. Yeah, Rasmus
Yeah,
is
Rasmus,
good in Norway.
Yeah, but his list was a real space raid
Oh.
with Cabal of the Black Heart, Precise Killers, and Test of Skill, Artists of the Flesh, and Light.
Oh,
Harleys.
there's some Harleys in there.
There were
Okay.
some Harleys in there.
All right.
Carry.
Sure.
Carry.
So this was an old-
Yeah.
That's an Eldari list then, if I remember
Yeah.
correctly.
Yeah, we
No,
got rid
because
of
we
that
judge by Arcs attachment
classification.
now, right?
They're just
Yeah,
all
I'm the
Arcs
same.
division.
I
I'm
was
the
right
same.
all along.
You were right all along.
You were just ahead of your time, Anthony.
That's right.
Somehow Leagues of Votann also snuck into the top 5 with a 4.2 meta representation, 4.2% that is, a 57.3% win rate, no event wins, 1 top 4 and 5 top 10s, and despite this performance, they had a 0.67 over rep, so they're still not doing that great, really. I think Votann got overtuned by GW nerfing them a little bit, and so we're just seeing them kind of suffer as everybody tries to play with momentum by bringing 10 Hearthguard, I guess, that teleport around. Sure,
Dictate
cool.
those plays, bro.
So bad. The unit sucks so much.
Got to work with what you got. I think Thunderkin are quietly Thunderkin in
Dude,
blacks
they're
might
awesome.
be just the list. I'm not even sure land forts are that important now because you just don't have enough stuff to play a 5-turn game a lot of the time.
Yep.
You just bring 9 plus Thunderkin and have a day shooting 96 grav cannon shots at people, watching them die. I guess.
D6.
Yes, 9d6, not 96.
You said it
Good.
fast.
I was worried.
I was worried because
I
those
misrepresented that unit a little bit in my head.
What was
those.
Were you at the ITT, Ennis?
No, I was not.
How did Robbo and his oops all bikes or land forts go?
I mean, they won the event.
I mean, they
so,
won, obviously. Yeah, but
I don't recall how
curious.
Robbo did specifically.
In most
did
rounds
pretty
that I
well.
looked, he did fairly well. But they like in the 5-man team structure, he
He's-
was like first.
He's
defense,
going up.
fixes
Yeah.
board.
That list is terrifying. But
That
outside
list is
teams,
scary.
I worry about Votan in singles. I just think they just lack the gas. They lack the secondaries, and they lack enough actual physical models to play the game.
Their units have 3 too many rules. So their army gets to have 2 too few units.
Yeah.
And that is the state they'll be stuck in until GW decides to remove rules so that they can lower the points.
Yep.
Yep.
In 4th place, we have Dark Angels. Because we're going to skip over Harlequins because they had less than 10 players and have returned to their 6 people worth of people playing them. Dark Angels had 41 players, 6.8% just in that one subfaction of an army. A 55.3% win rate, 4 top 4s, 9 top 10s, and an over-rep of 1.63, which means Dark Angels continue to do super great, which is amazing. And I'm sure we'll get to talk to Adam just a little bit later in the show what exactly he thinks about all that. In 5th place...
Does Adam care about Dark Angels? It doesn't seem like-
Nah.
In 5th place, we have Asuryani, who had a 7.1% meta representation. So, just 0.3% above a Marine subfaction. 54% win rate, a one event win, 3 top 4s, 9 top 10s, and a 1.17 over rep. And we're going to talk about Asuryani in just a minute because I think that they're now worth being one of the examples where we kind of need to pull apart how the different sub-factions of Asuryani are actually being represented and who is actually winning events. And then Iron Hands actually dropped a little bit. So there were 19 Iron Hands players over the weekend, 3.2 meta representation, and only a 52% win rate. Nobody got into a top 4 this weekend. There was only 1 top 10 from among those 19 players.
Because Iron Hands are fine.
Did I read that? I had to make sure that I was reading the data correctly on this spreadsheet, and it's a 0.
But Adam, you played against Iron Hands recently. It was fine, right?
It was fine. Yeah. In fact, this guy's got something to tell you. Oh, no, they're not. Fuck you.
Otherwise, for interesting...
I was really hoping you were going to grab the big penguin, personally.
I'll do it later.
For interesting bits of data, those event wins that were previously in other Marine chapters' hands went to new Marine chapters this weekend. Specifically, Blood Angels and Black Templars picked up 1 event win each. 2 top 4s for Blood Angels, 1 for Black Templar, 3 for top 10s for Blood Angels, and 3 for Black Templar, with a 2.4 for Blood Angels and a 1.4 for Black Templar for overrep. So it's not like Marines are doing badly. Marines are still doing great. In the bottom... nobody is playing Imperial Fist or Crimson Fist this last weekend, so they have a 0 in everything. The lowest pure faction is Thousand Sons, who is dropped below 10 players and has a 23% win rate according to the data, but they have only 6 players in the data this week. The lowest performing faction with actual players playing in it above a good number is Chaos Space Marines, who had 26 players and a 4.3% meta rep and had a 38.3% win rate. Followed, not that far ahead of them, is Chaos Knights, who had a 38.4, so just 0.1% more. But they did win an event. So good on Chaos Knights for an event win. So they actually managed to hit a 0.98 for their overrepresentation ratio.
One guy.
So perfectly balanced. One person in the Chaos Knights managed to pull the entire faction to a perfectly balanced state according to overrep.
Someone pointed out to me that in the dirty not us data that Emperor's Children had a 15% win rate. And that is fucking rough, buddy.
I mean, I guess I could.
1-5.
1-5.
Wow.
I mean, I guess I could pull it up real quick by just grabbing it. Let's grab
It
it.
is.
Well, the
Chaos
dashboard's been
space
updated for
means-
last week's data, so you could actually just drill down that way.
It is.
I'm just gonna look at the whole data because I find that more funny. And
It is
Emperor's Children
fucking
currently are at a
dire.
22.8% win rate, considering all of ARCs.
Do you think that's just everybody who's
All
like?
of arcs, not
All
even
of-
just 1 week.
That's like 2 months.
Oh no,
Yes.
wait, that's their sub-faction meta representation.
Okay.
It's
Oh,
40%.
okay.
Sorry,
Oh,
I read the wrong bar.
Wow.
Sorry, I read the wrong bar. It's a 40%.
Okay. What was it last week though? That was really the one that.
I mean, this past
last
weekend it was
or-
13%.
There you
Oh my god!
Anthony,
go.
what are you doing, mate?
I
Lift,
abandoned them.
lift.
And they just went feral. I don't
No,
know.
everyone.
I don't know what a
abandoned
good list looks like anymore.
I just
To be fair, that was 8 games.
fair, but
Wait, they won
The weekend before, they had 67 games and a 43% win rate. So,
I think they're floating around a 40 to 45.
okay.
yeah,
but-
Oh man, the
Which
sticker
isn't
shock
great.
on that last one was
Yeah.
brutal.
I will say also that World Eaters and Astra Militarum are tied for this last week, both with a 53.9% win rate, and both with 0.7s for over rep ratio.
It's weirdly.
So we're continuing this interesting trend of Astra Militarum seemingly
Don't know what
underperforming
dark
our
players are doing.
expectations,
I just don't get it.
and then World Eaters kind of performing around where we expected them to. But I hear that World Eaters are actually just a complete menace in RTTs.
Mhm.
Is what I've been told, where they're
Look,
just
man, the average
dominating
RTT player
RTT
loses
data.
to 2 Angrons a year. That's all they need to know.
There are 2 constants in this world, boys. Death. So in the 40k world, apart from death and taxes, and the Emperor's going to stay dead. There are in the Orc win rate will never be great, and the Guard win rate will never be great. Doesn't matter
That's
what book they've got.
Well-
doesn't freaking matter.
And big things win RTTs.
The,
That's
something
the
like
orc,
that.
wi-
Yeah.
the orc win rate's actually pretty good right now. It's 53.4% for this last week
But
with
he's-
an event win,
I
3 top
I-
4s, and a 2
I
for over rep.
I argue they're one of the best factions in the game, and they're
definitely.
still not at a 55%.
That's fair.
The
Yeah.
funniest thing about orcs is that they definitely just have Necron like Necron secondaries quality wise, but can actually kill things in melee combat aside
They'll
from
punch
Scorpion
the fuck
destroyers.
out of
like,
you.
Hmm.
Like commandos will pin you in your own deployment zone while murdering your shit while they wait for backup.
The next wave. Yeah.
Yeah, the
the
second
backup
wave.
actually just is only like a 2-inch charge away from you as well.
They're
Meanwhile,
waiting.
there's Grots just interfacing with buttons on the home field.
Yeah,
Oh,
getting
yeah.
5
Yeah.
points.
We've got 12,
5 points a turn. Just
6,
one.
6
block.
at him.
Oh yeah. Oh shit.
Got buffed in arcs.
I forgot.
Like,
Oh man.
Every time I look at an orc list, I'm like, yeah, so I am gonna have to beat 45 points on secondary because you're gonna score all of it, and I somehow have to prevent you from winning on primary, which might not happen.
When you went first, and I can't
Yeah.
leave my deployment zone.
Exactly. If
It's-
the orc player goes first, yes. You
I would
just-
like orc players to stop talking
Oh,
in the chat
yeah.
right now. Please stop interacting. We don't need to read this.
we've said too many nice things about orcs and orc players, and now all the orc players have decided that this is now an orc friendly chat.
Look,
Yeah.
I know I spend a lot of time shilling on this show. Like comments. If you're an orc player, just don't. I would rather you didn't. I don't want to read this.
And
We'll live
now,
without your click.
Now I'm going to talk about something that I think is important to talk about because Cliff wrote a really important article about how we need to dig down past just win rate into subfaction win rates. This is something we actually talked about on the last episode of the show as well before Cliff had published his article. But there's a really good article written by Cliff that's up on Goonhammer where he talks about the situation for Marines specifically as an example of why we need to dig into past just surface level faction performance and look at subfaction performance. Because if you look at ad hoc, like all of Adeptus Astartes together as a faction, they're performing fine based
They have
on
a 50% win rate. They're perfectly balanced.
and it's balanced by Iron Hands and Dark Angels basically being offset by Crimson Fists and Imperial Fists. But another really important example that I think we need to pull out right now is actually Craft World Eldar or Asuriani, as it's typically in our stats section. And so what you look at when you see Asuryani is that they are performing well. They have a 53.1% win rate, which puts them in the kind of the upper part of the balance bracket, but not quite overbalanced. But when you actually start tugging at the thread to look at like what factions are actually playing well, you have a Ynnari at a 59% win rate and Hail of Doom at a 57% win rate because Armor of Contempt has gone away essentially. And the things that are offsetting that are the largest portion of Craft World Eldar players are still playing Ulthwé. And Ulthwé has a 46% win rate, with that making up about 26% of the field of Craft World Eldar players. And then you also have a not insubstantial number of players who are playing Bieltan, which is about 5.7%, and then Masterful Shots, Swift Strikes, which is 5.3%, which each have a 38% and a 43% win rate, respectively. And the further down you dig in there, you can see that Hail of Doom and its various components are also doing well. You have Hail of Doom in Light, which has a 56%. Hail of Doom in Twilight, which has an 82% win rate, although I think that's just 28 games played, so 2.4% of the meta representation for Craft World Eldar, which is a lot, though. 82% is a lot.
That's a lot more games than I expected that you to say. I thought you were gonna be like, yeah, it's like 6 games.
It's like 5 people, but yes, it's not an insubstantial number of games, but it's also not a number of games that I'd want to use to make like large sweeping claims for.
Yeah.
But what I think is important is that if you use kind of the same tactics that we talked about when you were considering, like, if we're going to balance the game, what we want to look at when we're looking at for faction performance is not just to look at the surface level statistics, but to dig down and look at the win rate and overrepresentation ratios of sub-factions as well. Because we can see that Craft World Eldar are doing really well, and a lot of that probably just has to do, and we can talk to some of the other hosts and see what their perspective is, obviously, is because Armor of Contempt is gone and now all these factions have AP1 guns that are now working again. Or in the case of Hail of Doom, rocking out and just
AP4.
Yeah, just rocking out people.
Died good with Shuriken. Who'd have guessed?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And when Marines are being played at like 21% of the meta, turns out that that Strength 4 AP2/AP4 is real good.
Mm-hmm.
Killing Marines just isn't that hard.
Yeah, it's actually funny because I've been thinking about that more. Like after Armor of Contempt came off, killing Marines was more difficult, but not super difficult with Armor of Contempt, and has only gotten to be super easy with Armor of Contempt taken off. Like if you can shoot a Marine army, it all dies. Like,
no, Marines die with a hurry. It's a horde of
some exceptions apply.
Some exceptions do apply.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, a single exception applies if built in exactly one way.
Well, it's just the Deathwing Terminator. Just that one data sheet. One data sheet with transhuman and a 1-up save is a lot harder to crack than a whole slew of bodies with a 3-up save, right?
God, I fucking hate that army so much.
Turns out when you also give each one of those units a deny, it's pretty good.
Yep.
What was that about?
A re-rollable deny against Chaos if you're playing against a Chaos army.
Because Chaos needed to be kicked. Well, CSM needed to be kicked again.
For what it's worth, you will fail every deny regardless. Your opponent will cast Warp Ritual on a 7. You'll fail to deny it anyway. Speaking from experience here.
Unless you're TJ last night.
But he can auto pass those.
Not if you're on 10 Cabal points.
Oh.
He had no shortage of those because he couldn't figure out what to spend them on.
Oh, okay.
I guess the perspective is that, and because people in some of the commentary on the article were complaining that we were picking on Space Marines for doing well at the moment. It's not that we're picking on Space Marines. It's that you all know what a Space Marine is, and it's an easy example to use for the purposes of digging into data more than at the surface level, folks.
Hey, fuck off. We'll pick on them if we want.
Yeah.
I mean, also, I pick on Marines a lot. Just watch a couple episodes where I'm like, I'm going to shove y'all into one faction and y'all get no rules anymore. I hope that if GW does simplify the game to just indexes, they just actually erase all of the chapters and you guys get nothing. Nothing.
You can all play Ultramarine.
So you know how you see I think the prototype is already out there for how it's going to happen if they do it. The Chaos Space Marine Codex, where you get here's your faction, 1 page. Dark Angels is 1 page, everything's on it. A couple of strats, 1 or 2.
There's like 4 pages for each army in the Chaos Space Marines Codex.
No, they're a spreadsheet, aren't they?
No, there's
Yeah,
warlock
it's-
traits,
it's-
relics,
yeah, yeah,
stratagems.
three.
There's- yeah,
basically.
Yeah.
you flip it open, and here's the whole. You see your whole everything you've got before you. Oh, do some of them have 3?
Yeah,
I
some
think
of
they're
them have
all
three.
3. Yeah.
No, no,
Forget
the-
I said anything, boys.
The
Not even here. See you later.
Just everybody immediately is like, sorry, Adam.
Hold on a
you're
second, Adam.
wrong."
Adam is right for the Renegade Legions, for Creations of Bile and Red
That's
Course.
correct. See, sorry, back. How you
I
doing?
got you, big man.
You're right for the
But
ones that
that's-
don't matter.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking of
Creations
Red
of Bile was
Corsairs,
fun for a
Creations
while.
of Bile, because they're small, they're condensed, and that's what I want for everybody. That's what I want for
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah,
Everybody
I
gets a
think,
little
like,
bit.
two page folds, like 4 pages of rules is enough for every single one of those chapters. The problem is all the legacy data sheets that exist.
Dude, the Chaos
Yes.
Legions are dope individually. Like, if whoever fucking wrote the CSM book could just write
They're
the
awesome.
rest of them, we'd be
They're
in
awesome.
there. Like, all those legions are great. They're not necessarily like good at the game, but
They're
from like
all
a
Night Lords, bro.
from a flavor perspective, they all work. Night Lords just needs to trigger their +1 to wound on one higher leadership threshold, and that chapter tactic owns.
It's
Like,
good. Yeah.
small changes away from making all the legions very good. But GW's not going to do any of them. So, but in general, from like a flavor perspective, the CSM book, they did a great job.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think the CSM book is written really well, and they did a really good job of making there to be diversity between the legions.
Yeah.
I think the one challenge with Loyalist Marines is that if you remember that first Loyalist Space Marine book with its like 130 data sheets or whatever it was stuffed into it, I wonder if they're going to have to just do a major call of firstborn units in order to do something like that, or they'll have to replace it with a two-part book. Like they're going to have to replace it with a Horus Heresy style freaking $70 book.
Index
That is
Thunderwolves
just
and
massive.
Index Thunderwolves and Deathwing Terminators.
I hope they just go Primaris. Like, you get Primaris units now. Sorry.
I don't think they'll ever get rid of Terminators. I just don't see it.
Oh, they'll
If they
make
give them
Primaris
Primaris ones,
It's going to be 11th edition, I bet. They're going to phase out, because they're already starting to phase out like Devastators essentially by replacing them with Missile Bros, right?
Yeah, Missile Bros.
Missile Bros. And then they just need a Terminator equivalent that's not Gravis. They need a Assault jetpack unit. And then they just need some smaller speeder units.
Look,
and
man,
they're
I need
done.
something with a grav cannon. I need the Micronauts.
So you get who is it? You get Tor Garadin.
Yeah, I
Fair
could run the Imperial Fist special character with a grav gun. Fuck you.
there you go.
It's not a grav cannon. You heard what I said.
All right. Let's transition to the segment where we talk about the meta and where Adam talks specifically about what he thinks of Dark Angel players in the meta.
Yeah.
Let's shift gears.
I'm ready.
I want this.
Why did you put it on me?
Because it was default. It defaulted to you.
All right, you cabbages. So, Deathwing, hey? We're all getting a bit excited about Deathwing. Excited about literally the most boring shit list since the start of this edition, when all the lists were pretty boring and shit. And everyone seems to be losing their mind, being like, "Oh my god, we're gonna get Terminators." You're all boring. I'm just letting you know. Not only are you boring, but your days are numbered. Legitimately, there is nothing that feels durable in this game apart from the Deathwing Terminator. What does that do? Polarizes everything else around it. You can't take a list with the expectation to win a GT if it can't smash Deathwing Terminators. That's just like a baseline knowledge that you're gonna have to get past the keeper to do anything successful in this meta. And what does that do? That creates competition, that creates innovation, that creates good things. I actually like it when there's one polarizing army. And you guys are switching around so different people get the symbol. When there's one polarizing army, I actually get really excited because I get to see a bunch of really new stuff happen to lists. Like Blood Angels, you just take 10 death company with Thunderhammers. And you go first, cool, 2 units of Terminators, annihilated. Game's over. You start taking stuff like 30 Zephyrim, which actually do a number on Deathwing Terminators because they just have the dump of high AP of AP4.
Adam's trying to bait everybody into losing to Ravenwing now.
and you're getting it, boys.
He's giving it away.
come full circle. This is what's going to happen. Yeah, everyone's going to unga bunga go all in on the Terminators. The meta's going to adjust. They're going to get annihilated. They're going to end up running the stuff I've been running for the last 4 years, which is either all Ravenwing or a hybrid with 1, maybe 2 blocks at most of Deathwing Terminators. I usually like 1 block and a couple of command squads, and then just slam speeders, slam your version, whichever bike you like the most. Black Knights, tack bikes, doesn't matter. Hell, I'm even looking at ATVs surprisingly for like 1 or 2 ofs because I like the amount of wounds that they pack. Whilst because I can only take 3 tornadoes, essentially. That's essentially why I can only take 3
What a
tornadoes.
messed up data sheet.
I know, but the
So
idea
good.
of having 3 ATVs, 3 tornadoes, 3 scouts in storm speed is just
At you.
stop me getting 100 points, baby. You can't. That kind of stuff really excites me, and that's going to be the end game for a lot of players because I'm already slapping together things that are going to ruffle stomp Deathwing Terminators. Like playing Grey Knights, I'm just going to take 1 unit of 10 strikes, combat squad, and when I'm playing Deathwing, keep them together when I am. Hammerhand, 3 damage. See you later. Send them in.
Yep, inevitably fail in Peric amplification and lose the game.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what-
And Hammerhand, because they're both 7s, aren't they?
Is that Hammerhand's a 6?
Coin flips, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Exactly
A little
right.
easier.
Yeah.
A little better
But-
than a coin flip.
It sure does feel
And-
great when you lose the game off of failing 1 Warp Charge 7 power.
But the other thing is, you got Craft World players who are just like, well, Doom is premium, Guide is premium, Jinx is premium, Restrain is premium. Like, cool. Here's 1 squad I'm not going to care about. You can't use that squad all game. They're moving 2 inches.
I hate
Congratulations. I'm going to dunk on this one till it's gone.
Yep.
These kind of things are going to start to happen to Deathwing players. They've gotten the drop. They got the drop on the meta, guys. We can't deny that. I mean, I went to Cherokee with Jack Halfster, who lost to Deathwing, Brad Chester, who lost to Deathwing, and John Lennon lost to Deathwing. That is literally like, we remember the time when Sean Naden went to, was a BAO and played against the Buggies?
Yep.
It was like literal, like flashbacks to that, like 3 absolute guns, just like having no answers for what this meta is bringing. And it was actually quite something to see the scramble being like, oh my God, am I bad? Oh,
Yeah.
how did I see this coming?
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, you're all boring. Get better.
Specifically the Royal You. No, its individual player is boring. We reserve the right as stat check to think that you're all
Yes.
interesting. Except
Correct.
Adam.
Correct. I'm a Sith Lord in this extent. Nothing but absolutes.
Oh God, that was weird as we flipped around a lot.
Yeah.
So Adam, you said you were playing earlier in the show? You're playing Grey Knights, and then you're also
Yes.
focusing on Chaos Knights. So where do you think those armies kind of exist currently in the meta? Starting with Grey Knights.
Grey Knights is just a kind of ever reliable. Grey Knights have a game into everybody. If you have an appropriate list, they kind of have a game into anybody. They have a baseline of exceptionally good secondaries. Teleport Assault is just dumb. I don't know why it's as good as it was. I already thought it was their best secondary. I played that exclusively at WTC, and it was phenomenal. Just people like, I'm going to put 4 Crew Hounds up, and I'm like, 5 Stormbolters. Let's go get 4 points, boys. And now it's 5 points. It's really, really quite something. So I think Grey Knights are kind of that ever reliable game into anybody. I'm trying to be a good general and be a better general and use more of my brain. Mostly because I can play any Dark Angels list pretty much on muscle memory at the moment. And Chaos Knights because I looked at the rules of I've been a Knight player for quite a long time. And a Knight enthusiast for quite a long time. And then John just like slid. He's like, "Oh, you like Knights, Adam? Have a look at this." And I was like, Dread tests, you say? Interesting. Oh dear. What's this stratagem? Terror Shades. I can do it in both morale phases. Oh my. Aren't I excited? And pretty much I just love their rules. I think their rules are exceptionally good.
So what is Terror Shades, just to explain it for the audience?
So Ravenous Terror Shades. So Terror Shades is a keyword that pretty much every one of the bespoke Knight kits Chaos Knights kits have. So they're the little crazy birds that sit on top of the Abominant. But it's a keyword attached to all the war dogs that are unique to
so the Carnivore, the Stalker, the Brigand, and the Desecrator and the Abominant have it, I believe.
Correct. And so they have a stratagem associated with that, where they essentially, if anybody remembers what Cacophonic Choir used to do in 6th edition, 7th edition, 8th edition, where where you make them roll leadership tests, and they essentially take wounds without any saves or mortal wounds without any saves, up to how much they failed to apply. Well, you can make them do that in your morale phase, their morale phase, and you just spam them out.
All
And
the
then
time.
when you're doing that with people who are in dread range, and if you're far enough down on the table, that's at -3. There's a lot of MSU little dumb stuff around at the moment that don't love being shot by firstly, possibly up to 13 Havoc launches that you can't see, and then getting terror shaded. And so, unlike other knights, unlike regular knights, Chaos Knights can play a far more uninteractive game at points. They can actually be played surprisingly as a defender in some matchups. Which I find them far more exciting for things like teams. Chaos Knights, I feel like they got far more players.
I
than
miss
regular
sports
Knights.
so much already.
And in addition, I feel like Imperial Knights right now. I look at them and I've deep dove them, and I feel like I've got a very good understanding of them. And it feels a lot like AdMech. It's a lot of checks and balances, of aura management, of buff management. That doesn't seem to be that explosive, exciting oomph about them that I want now. I've been playing Space Marines. Space Marines are very predictable. I'm looking for a little bit of chaos in my life. It's about time I return to what my first couple armies were all chaos. They were all chaos demons. It was CSM, and it's been a long time since I played a chaos faction. So, yeah.
Nice.
Chaos Knights is an awesome way to get back into chaos in general.
Well, so also, I'll say straight up, I've played all of 9th edition, apart from the first kind of 18 months where I was mostly in lockdown. And I've not enjoyed a huge portion of 9th edition because it's been demonstrably imbalanced and possibly unfun at times. Through the dark times of 6 months of nothing but Drakari can win. And then there was the times of nothing but Drakari or AdMech could win. And then there was the times of nothing but Tyranids could win. And there was, unless you were one of the 3 Harlequin players in the world. And I want to play something where I can just chill, put down some big stompy robots, and enjoy an event for the event, and not just focus on the games. And so I want to have that in my playbook, and just to be able to take a step back from the competitive juices and just employ a little bit of unga bunga, but also with a bit more nuance than just, am I in range of this ability? Am I in range of that ability? Oh, cool. Guess my army works. Which is what Imperial Knights kind of feels like.
It sure does.
Yeah, no,
Imperial
that
Knights feels like
sums
you
them
need
up
like
real
an
well.
abacus.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
hate sitting there with an Imperial Knight player. All right, remind me. So, which 4 things do you lose points for? And is it honor points or victory points for these ones?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
hate it so much.
Honestly, every single Knight player I've played against could have just told me they were virtuous and made up why, and I would have been like, fair, yeah, all right, off you go, mate. Same as AdMech players, I feel. The AdMech and Knights is my comparison, where it feels like it is a little bit more bookkeeping than I enjoy. AdMech is just like, and this guy has this buff, that one has this buff, and this one have that other buff, and that one's in this one.
I bet it does.
None of them own cards.
It's very thematic, though. It's very thematic for AdMech
It
to have to
is.
print
It
out an
is.
Excel sheet in order to run your army. I've
I will
definitely
say- I will say that the first army that I've played against so far, where I was like, oh, if I play against this in a tournament, the person doesn't have something, I'm gonna like grab napkins and like tear one up and give them something, is Guard. Guard gets so out of hand with orders. If you don't have a way to track them, I'm just gonna be like, you don't have that buff there, and also you don't have a way to prove it. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
100%.
I've printed tokens for my guard army because it gets kind of out of control. Because I'm like, yeah, so it bubbles 6 inches. So you have to print like 20 fucking order tokens to manage
Mhm.
this
You know
army.
what?
And then
That's
you're just
terrible.
you're throwing tokens all over the table, and it looks wild. You're like, so I hope you enjoy your AdMech level of tokens because they're all over the table because it bubbles on everything.
It all
gets
started with the
like a
with the
lot.
GSC, yeah. As soon as like GW printed the blipped tokens, they went mad with power.
Actually,
and now
I
we've
have
got grudge tokens
Wait one sec.
and sorry, what?
He's
I
gonna be
think
right
he's gonna
back.
go do something.
Fair enough.
My favorite thing with Votan players is the second they start being a little bit of an asshole, I just stop moving judge tokens around. I'm like, they're your token, man. You move them.
You come walk around the table. Get your steps up, brother. Oh, we're
Look,
all
man,
like
this is not. These tokens are yours. They're tracking your rules.
I don't want.
They're not my responsibility to manage. There's no grudge tokens next to a unit. There's no grudge tokens on it. But you need to move them.
I
The
don't
second you
want to
start
touch
being a
your
twat.
I don't want to touch your property. I don't want to touch your property. I'm not responsible for it.
Exactly.
Mhm.
I
I
can't
know
be
where your
trusted
hands
with
are
those. I've been eating Doritos, bro. I don't want to touch your stuff.
All right. Listen, this is why I love World Eaters, because this is the World Eaters.
I saw that deck though.
Wait. It
How
gets
much did
better.
that cost?
Hold on.
$35.
Same prices,
though.
though.
It's the same cost
price
as
the rest of
every
the
other
army.
deck.
Nothing. What? This is all the ones I don't use, and
There's like 6 in there.
This
Okay.
is the one that I use.
Does that include the generic stratagems for command rerolls?
The pack of ones that I don't use because I know those does. This, a bunch of these. So if I take out the ones for Blood Tithe, which are the Blood Tithe markers that are next to the table, the stratagem pack stinks down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cards. One of which is Rhino Smokescreen.
Which you don't get in Disciples. I love it so much.
Well, you can't take rhinos, so why would you bother?
But you don't get it for Land Raiders as well, because Land Raiders has smoke screen.
Yeah, it's a letter.
Words.
Yeah.
I love that
The world
deck though is the same price as the Chaos Space Marine deck. That is like 5 times the size of it. I was
No,
at
the comparable one is the Craft Worlds and the Harlequins one.
well, I mean the Chaos Space Marine one has all of the Legion stratagems in it.
Right.
So it's the biggest one by far, I think, because it's just I picked it up next to the World Leaders one, and I was like, how are these the same price?
Because this system one just doesn't come with the Litanies.
It doesn't.
No.
I love that GW has managed to produce what would ostensibly be a useful resource, but like stripped a bunch of the utility out of it.
Yeah.
I
Like
was
the 8th edition Tau one came with Warlord trait cards because there was nothing else to put in it.
I was super worried this wasn't going to have the Blood Tithe cards in it.
Yeah, because it's so small. So you're like,
I
oh,
was like-
cool.
I still use my 8th edition my 8th edition regular Space Marine deck because it was the only one that came with Doctrine cards. The 9th edition one doesn't. It's like, why?
I mean,
Why are these the choices you're making?
you kind of just you either stay in the one or you proceed all the way through.
Yeah, but it's nice to like be able to show your opponent that in some way, shape, or form.
Yes,
or
I
to
did
like
say I'm
mark
switching to
units in a new
tactical.
doctrine and stuff like that when you use stratagems and stuff on them.
I guess.
I don't know. I find them very useful. They're in a different card sleeve. I keep them. They're nice. Anyway, that'll do for the broad roundup. We're gonna do the plugs, then we're gonna take a quick break for 5-10 minutes, grab a drink, and we'll come back. But I am gonna do the plugs now. Unless anybody has anything else they want to touch on for our general meta chat section.
Nope.
I'm taking that as a no. Thank you everybody for being with us so far for this show. This is continuing to be episode 34. Please don't leave.
Wow, Ennis.
This is abandonment issues in real time, everyone.
We are going to be back shortly. We're going to do the plugs now. So if you're enjoying the show, you can check us out every week Tuesday at 11 p.m. Fuck you, Anthony. 11 p.m. GMT on youtube.com/CSATtime. Yep. It's 6 p.m. Eastern, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
good. You're good.
Yeah, fuck. You said 5. I got confused.
I
This
said
is
5
5
p.m.
Central.
CST.
Stop confusing me during the plugs. I'm only barely hanging on as it is.
I should just take this shit over. I should just.
You
You
should,
should.
but you can't because
Adam-
this is
Adam,
part of our
you-
appeal at this point.
People come for the cringe, stay for the stats.
Exactly. If you want to support us a bit more, you can check us out at patreon.com/statcheck, where for $5 a month you can get access to our wonderful, wonderful Discord community, access to things like the TTS leagues that we're running. We're currently running a 72-person TTS major with some of the best players in the world attending. Can't complain about that. Or you get access to asking us banal questions at all hours of the day because we'll answer them. We're idiots. Otherwise, you can also check out our website at stat-check.com, where you can find all sorts of things from the meta dashboard, the CRS, and the ELO, which are the best way to track how good you are at 40k for your big EPing points. You can also find access to things like our coaching and all of the articles that we write. All that kind of thing is available on the website, so please do check that as well. Thank you for being with us. We're going to take a 10-minute break. We'll be back at 10 minutes past the hour, wherever you are. If you are listening to the recorded show back, whether that's on YouTube or on whatever podcast feed you prefer, we will be back shortly. You're going to hear a small cut. There'll be an ad probably for Goonhammer, who really knows at this point, and we'll be back shortly. Otherwise, if you're here in the live stream, stick around. We'll be here answering some chat and talking shit.
Adam, do you have any plugs you want to make real quick? Before
And
we
yeah,
cut?
Adam, if you want to plug, go.
Hey everybody, I'm on 3 shows right now. FTN Forge the Narrative, usually coming out on your weekend, which is the Venerable, celebrated 10 years of production. And because we've done that, we're actually taking a break. We're doing, boys, I've been doing that show for I think 3 or 4 years straight, every single week. I don't think I've missed unless we haven't had the show on. So taking a break after 10 years, we'll be back with some new invented stuff sometime in the future. Stay tuned. We have Art of War Down Under, which is my personal podcast, predominantly a review-based podcast, comes out Tuesday mornings. I just recorded a Siriani Codex retrospective with the wonderful Vic Vijay that it came out this morning at 5 o'clock. Go check it out if you have not. And if you want to get involved, a brand new Discord for my patrons just launched literally yesterday evening. And jump over to the Patreon, jump on, support, get involved. Lastly, the Thursday show, which essentially is the I want to say the big brother to this show. It is your pre-weekend hype show for the upcoming week's events. I break down the meta, break down the stats, lovingly created by myself, control effing clumsily through the lists. And we tell you what the meta is going to be, possibly how you can beat it, and what you should expect to see out there from the biggest events of the upcoming weekend. Hopefully it gets you a little bit excited. And yeah, see you later.
Cool. So we'll be back in about 10 minutes. Please stick around. Fuck you, Brian. I'm going to get a drink.
Dude, he's, savage.
Brian, I want my Iron Hands back. You can't take them to Southampton.
There were definitely words in that sentence that all got squished together, and all I caught was Iron Hands.
He said, Brian, I want my Iron Hands back. You can't take them to Southampton. You guys can spend any time in Scotland, clearly.
I just need to keep Anthony on retainer as a translator, apparently.
Yeah.
Scottish adjacent.
Yes. I loved, actually, Adam, how you slipped into like an American accent at one point during one of your sections. Just like, maybe not on purpose. You were like exaggerating something and you slipped into an American accent and it was
I do that. Exaggerate, I mean.
Never would you exaggerate, ever.
Never have I ever. What happens next?
We're going to chill for 5 minutes. I'm going to go get a glass of water and we're going to banter with chat, and then we're going to come back and we're going to do questions.
Sweet.
This used to be the section where I used to just sit here and talk shit with chat, and now it's just all of us sitting here.
We're going to answer this right at the start as well.
Give me some questions.
God damn it.
Anthony, why are Night Lords?
Why?
No, we have to wait for us to be back because this is going in the recorded part of the episode.
Oh, so we'll leave it for later. I'm going to hide it. Again. We'll come back to it later.
So a fun thing to know about Adam's Patreon that I brag about frequently is that I was in there from the literal minute it was available.
You were, you absolute legend. And
I think I was like second in the door or something.
I only just joined yours like 2 months ago. So
we only recently had one.
You got the nuts on me though. I'm never going to catch it. That bothers me.
Oh man, now I need to look at to see how long I've been a patron for Art of War Down Under.
Dude, forever.
You champions. Thank you.
I have been a Patreon for Art of War Down Under for how long? Let's figure this out. I wonder if I can figure this out.
I regularly review content now, and I still listen to Art of War Down Under to see what Adam and his guest think that maybe I missed.
I know things that you don't. Really?
Sometimes.
I am
doesn't
surprised.
sound right.
You are definitely one of the pieces of content that I actually listen to regularly to keep up with the meta because I don't think I otherwise would be able to.
Stop, you're embarrassing.
Also, I totally missed the email about a Patreon Discord and just joined it during the show.
I'll get you in. I need to name this dude. He's going to be with me for as long as I'm in the trap house. He's my companion.
Yeah, that's the boy.
Because he's the only one in the house that's worse gamer than I am.
Oh, no.
You know what you should do? Every time you beat someone, you should give them the penguin.
You have to hold the penguin now.
Yeah,
this is your
until
penance.
You win it off.
I did just beat Jack. I'm going to go give this to Jack.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
Clearly,
sure
it's
take that
called
really well.
It's called Little Jack until you beat someone else.
It's Little Jack, and then it becomes Little Adam and Little Nick, and I like that.
I'm sure Jack will take that really well. Jack loves losing.
If the first person to super chat in a name for the penguin gets to name it from now until the next episode.
Oh no. You don't know what you've just done.
Hopefully I've generated it.
Personally, I'm going with whoever super chats the biggest between now and the end of the show.
Yes.
That's a better way to do it. We'll do it that way.
We're going to do it the mostest. Although I love how Tim keeps giving money to himself, basically, but in smaller increments. He's like, how about I give $5 to the show that then becomes $1 back to me each time?
He loves
That's a good donation rebate.
It is. That's a rebate. Yeah, he's getting.
He could write that off in his taxes, probably.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Oh, he's in the trap house. That's why it looks like a dorm room. It does look like a dorm
does.
room.
This is John Lennon's old room, so Lord only knows.
Just don't bring a black light.
I ain't finishing that.
There's like a Bible in the desk over there. That's like the extent of that being John Lennon's room, dude. There's nothing too exciting in there.
God damn it, Tim. I'm just gonna give Tim a quarter next time I see him. I'm just gonna give him a fucking quarter.
I think
like,
Tim should just not get a cut. As
Here's your cut of the
he seems to use it
freaking
responsibly.
super chat.
Yeah.
Tim just gets a discount on super chats. Yes, there it is. He gets a discount.
That's a good way to look at it. We also need people to try to name the penguin, but yeah, in general, Tim's gonna end up naming the fucking.
Technically, the
penguin
name is
with his
currently
account.
because I can, Nathan.
Yeah.
It was the only super chat that has happened since we said that we would do that. Yeah.
I'm doing a bit of a teams matrix right now. Grey Knights into Custodies. What do you guys think?
What Custodies?
What custodian?
Solar Watch.
It's either Solar Watch or it's just generic like good stuff like Caladius' blacks.
Not
Chosen.
Dreadnought, Emperor's Chosen Custodies, right?
No, I don't actually think that's that good anymore.
That list will 15-5 every Grey Knight list you put in front of it.
It will do that.
But I don't think you'll see that in most teams right now.
Sure. I'm just saying.
It's
If it shows up, you're
Usually
screwed.
looks at
It
lists
does.
first.
It's good to state. Good to state.
Yeah.
So what do we got here? It is either MSU of Big Bricks, either MSU or Big Bricks of Wardens with a bunch of MSU Alaris that can teleport around. So this is just the Big Brick list. So this should be the Wardens.
Probably like a 12 either way. Like you're not going to get a lot of things to get teleport soul off of, but its secondaries kind of suck.
Its secondary suck. Like I almost auto get. Behind engage become really good for me. R&D is also a good one. I don't take banners. That's dumb. But like purifying ritual, R&D behind enemy lines becomes very doable.
Secondaries are fine there, right? They just take prisoners in a boar, and they
take prisoners in the boar, and they take the stand vigil one.
They have to go at you. Like
they have to go.
They always were.
Where I don't have to go. Where I don't have to go at them is the idea. Because there'll be I do think it's a 12-8, and I'm probably going to put myself down as the 8 in that situation.
Yeah. Giving Custodies, every time you give a Custodies a secondary, it's like, oh.
Yeah, it's big.
Yeah, it's much nicer when they're just like, I guess I'll take no prisoners for 7.
I just saw it, Brian. Comment.
Yeah, I know.
I think I need to hit. Oh my gosh! There you go. Absalom, Destroyer of Worlds. Is not the name.
That's the penguin's name, by the way.
Okay. I was trying to see if I could full screen Tim Penny's story because it's impossible to see otherwise.
Yeah.
I guess somebody could. I'll never forget asking Nick where the towels in the trap house were, and he said in that closet underneath the Emperor's Children Army. And lo and behold, there was an Emperor's Children Army in a tray in the closet.
You open anything in this house.
There's an army there.
I have no idea what is under this bed. I've never looked under it. I've never been under it, but I guarantee there will be something Warhammer related under this.
I would like you to check in the 3 minutes before we go live again.
It's gonna go. Yes, go see what's under that bed. It's Nick Nanavati hiding under there.
He's just been there the whole time. It's like, damn it,
John actually never left.
He's hidden under there. He didn't actually move out.
I talked to John on his way home from the trap house yesterday, so I assumed he left. That'd be real weird. He was just like walking around it.
Yeah, he's been walking around the block the entire time that he was on the phone with you.
Yeah. Lennon just left for smokes, guys. It's fine.
He'll be back eventually.
All right, I found a case.
Oh no!
Make sure you check it first before you take something out of it.
Oh, I can't open it all the way. It's one of the hinges is bust.
Oh,
it does sound like models though. That I just broken.
Oh no!
I mean, if it's got a busted latch on it,
war dogs in North
probably worried about
America.
it. All of them. Actually, I hear that Tom Pawnee actually just has all of them.
He has the rest.
He has all of them. Yeah, he's got the Fort Knox thing going.
Yeah, that's good enough. That's there's models in this, I think. We're done.
Great.
So there's a case of models underneath the bed, though. That's great.
Underneath the bed.
Just
Case
a
of
box
bottles
of
in a locked box that can't be opened.
That's
So-
actually Brian's right. I thought it would be a gun when Adam said it was just
Florida.
case.
It is Florida, right? I did open a drawer here, like when I first got here the first time, and it was just chest clocks. It's like 9 chest clocks in a drawer.
Just stolen from people at tournaments.
Yeah, just reaping their winnings. It was like,
Yeah,
you
well,
don't
Parsons
deserve this.
takes them and sends them to the Art of Warhouse as tribute so he can stay on the team.
Tribute.
Jack's convinced he stole one at WTC. So
He is. Yeah, that was funny.
any sign of Colin's shelf.
Wow, that's a joke from a whole
That's a
network
deep
ago.
cut.
Oh my god!
That is a deep dive joke into
That-
the elder lore of Fight Club.
Who said that? That is a hell of a
That was
callback.
Seth.
Seth, that is hilarious. Thank you.
Seth quoting the elder lore of the podcast.
We still need to someone needs to write some fluff to submit to the Black Library open submission one about just a freaking shelf in the Emperor's
just
Palace
vanished into
going
the
missing,
Yeah.
and then all the bureaucracy and people just being like, who's got the shelf? They bring in an Inquisitor.
There's just this whole look for a relic shelf.
Yeah,
My favorite version of that story is that it's Gus, his big dog stole the shelf.
I just ate it.
Well, just took it somewhere. Now it's in the woods near his house.
And there will be no context provided because this is the Between show where we don't provide context.
That's right.
You're all just going to have to figure it out. Go watch an original Fight Club episode and see if you can find the lore behind it.
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
All right,
40K
We're going to transition back into being a little bit more serious. I'm going to pull up the questions.
So do we want to have a 5-second pause?
Yeah, so we'll shut up for 5 seconds and let Jeremy have a nice clean cut, and then we'll go into the 2 super chat questions, and then we'll do
The question
short
thread and questions. Yeah.
right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Stat Check episode 34. They came from the land down under. We are joined again by Adam, Nathan, Jeremy, Anthony, and myself, and we're going to be launching into some questions. These are from the Discord and from anybody who's super chatted. We're also running an extra special incentive. See that penguin in the back behind Adam? The top donator for super chats over the course of the show gets to name that guy until the next show, at least.
Congrats.
Currently he is called Absalom, Destroyer of Worlds, which personally I think you guys should get rid of.
Get in there.
For
people.
entirely reasonable answers. For
Far
entirely
too serious
Exactly.
for such a grandiose penguin.
So we're going to take some questions from the super chats to start. So the first one is Anthony. Why are Night Lord the superior CSM subfaction?
Because if your army is going to be fucking terrible anyway, you might as well do it with style.
Lean in and have a sick color scheme.
Yeah, at least look
Look pretty.
baller
Have
While
lightning
you get in
bolts
there.
on everything.
and lose
Like-
way more games than you win.
Every
Yeah, but
model
Emperor's
has
Chosen does that too,
hand
so-
painted lightning bolts. It's amazing.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
The second question we have, Anthony, they're all for you today.
Oh,
What's your favorite part of Votan?
my favorite part of it's Berserks. They're short, angry dudes that hit way harder than they look like they were. They're me, but in a faction. I love those things.
They're so much smaller than you expect to when you finally pick up one in person. They're tiny.
Oh yeah, they're little dudes.
My favorite thing about the whole faction is how good a save a girdle contributes.
If you're in Ymir, it gives you a fucking awesome one.
Power girdle, baby. It's the
Yeah.
secret tech of the 41st millennium.
That's right. Just had to keep that dick safe, dude. It's very important.
That's what Void Armor looks like. Like the wizard in her robes has Void Armor on, yeah.
It's just a codpiece.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, now transitioning over to the Discord questions. The first one we have is for Adam. How did LVO and American play live up to your expectations, and how does it differ from Australia? Additionally, would you bother to travel or LVO or frontline events again?
So absolutely, like I enjoy just traveling for events. Full stop. It's always just exciting. Even if I just go to hang, it's always beautiful to experience other gaming cultures, other places, other feels. Everywhere does kind of. Or I think 9th edition has really, and 8th edition to an extent, the modern editions of the game have really forced us to all play a very similar game. It used to be when Europe was literally WTC. America literally was ITC. You would travel to different places and the game would just be so different. It would almost be a different game. And that was exciting and great and nuanced for its own reasons. But now it's really interesting. So in Australia, the general flavor is pick sensible, don't need to be exceptional secondaries, nuke their primary, win the game. That's usually that is the top table play style of the vast majority of players of top
That
players in
sounds
Australia.
familiar.
I know it does. Whereas in America, the general feel is scorched earth, kill them, and they can't score. Is generally the kind of experience that I've had so far. Naturally, here where I'm living right now is almost the exception to that rule, where they will do everything possible to not be seen, not be struck, not be shot. They literally play the least amount of 40k possible.
Hey, the Euro style.
Which is, I was about to transition that into, that's exactly what happens in Europe, baby. The tippy top of the WTC is like, who can do the least for the most value? And unless it's a stupid meta, then who can bring the most dumb, stupid, broken stuff that no one knows about yet? And that's how things have got different flavors and different feels. It's really exciting. And nothing in this world is better than going to the WTC and just watching who thought they knew best and who actually did. Who thought they had all the pieces of the puzzle and who was one step ahead, one step behind, one step adjacent. I love that stuff.
The slack-jawed shock the day before the WTC when the Germans and Austrians watched John brutally rip some poor sisters player in half with that Custodes list.
And they almost took him off the team.
Was goddamn hilarious.
Like, we're sending you home.
In dishonor.
It was just a practice game. It's fine.
He fucked
You gotta
around.
be careful about agreeing to practice games with other countries in WTC. You never know exactly what they're looking for out of you.
Exactly right. Is there anything? Was there any other parts of that question I didn't answer? Sorry.
No, that pretty much made it. We did miss one super chat question from our own Tim Penny. Anthony, we're the best Chaos Knights, and why is it Bebop and Rocksteady?
Dude, it's Bebop and Rocksteady. It's not even fucking close. They're the best. As long as they're carnivores, don't play them as stalkers. They're way less good then.
Bebop and Rocksteady. What is this referring? Is this one with
Bebop and Rocksteady?
Blood and one with the Slanesh minus.
So one has Aura of Corruption for -1 strength.
Yep.
And the other one has Beguiling Majesty for -1 to hit and wound against it.
Right.
And when you put them on top of each other, you get 8 bound wounding you on 6s.
Mhm.
That shit's real fucking annoying in an army with no rerolls. So
this is one of the combo pieces I was actually looking at. It's
really good
beautiful.
on carnivores. I've run this before, but I ran it as stalkers, and I was like, this kind of sucks. It doesn't matter. But as carnivores, they hit you and do like 2 damage, and the carnivore fucking kills you. So then it's way less like, oh, it's fine. Yeah, very scary. No me gusta. Pain.
Man.
But yeah, that combo is real good.
And here I was just going to say, that's obviously just a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles reference. I don't know what you're talking about, Adam.
It is definitely also that. That's where it comes
Also
from.
that. Absolutely. Were you even like... how old were you when the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie came out, Anthony? I mean, I think Inez wasn't alive.
I was born in 94. Like, I was real young.
Adam, I think I was born in 87, so I was like out when that movie came out.
Me too, mate.
Yeah.
I read that. Yeah.
1990, by the way. So 6 years older than me and 4 years older than Anthony.
Yep.
Beautiful.
With Vanilla Ice in that first movie, I think too. Was that?
That's right.
Yeah, singing the Go Ninja, Go Ninja, Go song. There we go.
He made so much money off that.
Excellent.
The next question is for, again, Adam. You mentioned that you don't drink. As someone who's also sober for 1 year and 3 months, has 40k helped you? I know there's a not small drinking culture within the tournament scene. Have you had pushback at all, or people been accommodating? And does that vary by country?
So I didn't catch that last bit.
So does it vary by country on how accommodating people are with you not drinking?
Yeah, it really does. I mean, the actual least accommodating place for me not drinking is actually Australia. Funnily enough, the culture of drinking in Australia is just pervasive. It's everywhere, and it just needs to be accepted. That's just how people are. But because of that, we just need to be really accepting of people who have problems with it or are trying to not have problems with it. Congratulations, whoever you are, sir, ma'am, whatever. A year and 3 months is absolutely phenomenal. Well done. Hopefully it has been rewarding and phenomenal experience for you. It's the best thing I've ever done in my life. It's the only thing that's enabled me to have a life, because I wouldn't have otherwise. I definitely wouldn't have made it 35. But the culture of drinking is actually quite different from different country to country. I actually found, surprisingly, Heartland Europe was the only place. I haven't been to the UK yet, Inez. I'm assuming it's quite similar. I'm assuming that's where Australia got it from. But yeah, in America, it's actually fine. Canada, absolutely fine. Even in Mexico, absolutely fine. Australia and some Heartland European nations, I've actually found it to be, I guess, the most everywhere. France, surprisingly, not too bad. Italy, not too bad. But at WTC, it is quite pervasive. A lot of people are there for that at times. Are there people who go every year? They're there to get sloppy. They're there to blow off steam and just play some 40k. And obviously they're bastards who get to be good at 40k and sloppy at the same time.
Worst.
Not my cup of tea. If I'm there, I'm on the razor's edge. But yeah, it's so far so good. People are generally really respectful of me not drinking and whatnot. And at most, people say, "Oh, why don't you drink?" And I said, "Why don't I drink anymore?" And then usually they shut up. And they'll be like, I get it. Yeah. I usually just treat it like an allergy. Like I tell them, like, if I can't be bothered to explain, I'll be like, I'm allergic. Because in reality, that's kind of what it is. If I drink, I lose the ability to be healthy, mentally, physically, or spiritually. So hopefully that helps.
That's good. Thank you for sharing.
Good answer.
Next, we have from Dan. Given GW's needlessly high prices in Australia, is it more common or accepted to play with 3D printed armies and minis? That's it. I don't know why I raised my voice at the end there. That's the question.
Go nuts. Legit. Enjoy this hobby. Play it. Love it. Whatever enables you to do what you love. If you love playing the game and you can't afford to play the game, do things that enable you to play the game. I'm not a fan of the fact that Australia is so price gouged that the game is almost gatekept from people who want to play, especially kids who love the IP, want to get into the game, and then they go and they can't. So I'm not going to tell you where to go and how to buy things or even advocate in that way. I'm going to say, go to resellers, go to swap meets, do those things, do whatever you got to do, whatever's within your budget to enable you to enjoy the thing that you love. Leave it at that.
Good answer. We also have, who has been or is your favorite guest to have on R4 Down Under?
Tony V. It's not him. He's not Tony. It's Anthony Vanilla. It's Tony V. It's my man.
Beautiful people.
Anthony's legit my favorite. Me and him just get along like a house on fire. It's just the easiest work I do, and it doesn't feel like work at all.
Yeah, for sure.
And naturally, I didn't just have to say that because I'm on his show. 100%.
But you definitely did, and it's okay. The check will be in the mail. It's fine. What is your favorite local Australian snack or fast food that isn't available other places?
Ooh. It actually is available. It's actually catching on. Banh mi, which is like a Vietnamese, usually a pork roll.
Yep.
But a lot you can have barbecue pork, a roast pork belly. You get good tofu, good mushroom ones as well if you're vegetarian, which I sometimes do. And it's just like a beautiful French baguette with pate and like some veggies, some coriander, some pickles. Fan-freaking-tastic. That's my fave. I can't find it everywhere, but when I do find it, I chow down.
What's your approach for covering a new book? How do you dive into the book before recording? And would this differ for looking at new rules you play versus would this differ for looking at new rules to play with versus covering it for the podcast?
So it depends. If it's a faction I'm interested in, like I have the Chaos Knights book literally right here. Since I got into the house, it has not left my room. And so I will literally, when I'm bored, I'll just crack it open and read it and look at something I'm interested in. Been looking at the House Korvax a lot recently because I think they're just spicy, crazy, fun, unpredictable goodness. But when I'm breaking it down for the show, there's two things. Firstly, I don't have a huge amount of time these days to study a book before I do it. And so I've tried to craft my format to be an expert, somebody who has had time to break down that book, who is passionate, who is interested, who has that level that I can't bring myself to. And then I try to be the novice interpreter of the rules with an expert to make sure I get kept honest and you guys get a true first impressions and expert interpretation of the rules that you're reading. I did initially try to do both and found that it was extraneously difficult to manage. And also didn't make the show that much better. It possibly made it worse because it possibly felt like it was just two experts talking about things that people might not understand if they're going through that book on the first time, like synergies and different levels and stuff. So I'm trying to give both interpretations, both levels of it. And I'm getting better as I'm still hopefully getting better at that job as I'm going. And yeah, I try, and the first and foremost, everything I do has to be fun. Not only for me, it has to be fun for my guest, has to be fun for the listener. And if it's not fun, if it's just reading a rule and being like, Herder, he goes quick, he punch good, it's no one's going to enjoy that. Nobody. And I'm not going to want to do the show. So you've got to make it fun, got to make it punchy, and got to give multiple levels of interpretation.
Good.
Amazing.
Does the Aussie McDonald's have any fun local foods? For example, the ones in the Philippines serve spaghetti and fried chicken. The ones in Germany serve beer.
I don't think Australia. I think Aussies do. I think the Aussie and the American ones are pretty similar. Maybe they put more pineapple and beetroot on burgers in Australia. I love pineapple. I love beetroot or beets.
Yeah, I've never once heard of that in my life, so that's definitely a you thing.
Yeah. I love it. I love it on burgers. It's very good.
Maybe they put more than none.
I was like, wait,
That's fair.
McDonald's puts beets on burgers?
That
Yeah.
sounds really good.
Aussies love beets on burgers and also pineapple. Usually
Pineapple
chicken,
is
but
so good.
Pineapple on burgers is legit. Grilled, delicious.
Yeah, grilled pineapples on any form of meat is.
I'm getting down with grilled avocados now too. It's actually pretty nice.
Oh, I
Yeah.
might try that tomorrow for lunch.
McWhirk asks, who talks faster, Innes or Adam?
I think I have put a lot of work into slowing my cadence down. I actually have put I've put a shitload of work into trying to talk slower to make my content better. Hopefully it has come through for you guys. So Innes has got me he's lapping me.
And Innes is newer to it, so yeah, Innes is definitely the.
This also
faster
just
one.
gets excited too easily.
See, I lose it. You get me pumped. Discipline.
Yeah,
gone.
no,
Let's
you were
fly.
bad when I was on your show.
Dude.
You got fast. Okay. Favorite episode of Bluey?
Oh wow! I actually don't know the episode names that well. It was one that had a party, and I think they had to make the kid apologize for something. See, I have my morning tea and go through my patrons and discords and like check on the news and stuff while I was sitting next to my nephew watching Bluey in the morning. So I vicariously experienced Bluey. So apologies if I'm not a Bluey expert. I am a Bluey enjoyer, however.
I have
Nice.
no idea what Bluey is.
I love it.
It's a cartoon. It's an Aussie cartoon. It's actually fantastic.
How do you like your eggs cooked?
If I'm gonna cook them,
Tim's got the hookup.
Damn, that was fast.
If you have kids, I imagine that you have a nearly like Wikipedia like knowledge of Bluey at a certain point.
Yeah.
That's insane. What was the question?
Eggs cooked.
Eggs
How do you like your eggs?
fried sunny side up. If I'm gonna cook them, if someone else is cooking them, poached. I can't be fucked poaching my own eggs. Never heard of them. Or I do a very good scrambled eggs.
Nice.
But if it's just me smashing it out, it's fried sunny side.
How do you do the scrambled eggs?
Very slowly. Finish it with a bit of cream, sour cream or creme fraiche. On the stove, off the stove. On the stove, off the stove.
Interesting.
I like it.
See, I
That's
just
the
make an omelet and
fanciest
have
way to do
scrambled
it.
eggs instead.
It's got to be like creamy lumpy for me.
Mhm.
Yeah, velvety.
100%.
All right.
Adam, does pineapple belong on pizza?
No, fuck it off.
Good lad.
Aim higher in life than canned pineapple on your pizza.
I think higher is how people got to pineapple on pizza.
That's true. That's
Probably
true.
correct.
This is an Ouroboros, a snake eating its tail.
Yeah.
This one's for everyone. When is the
Yay.
Statue crew getting their Goonhammer picks? Got mine. Had mine for
Eventually.
years.
One day. I don't know.
One day.
I'm hoping we get another year of Drukari so that I can time my picture correctly with something I'll be playing for a consistent amount of time. and for no other reason.
Do you not want the butcher's nails?
I would absolutely do me with the butcher's nails, but either or.
It match up exactly with your hairline.
It's true. It does start right here.
Dang.
When are you going to join your Down Under brethren on the GSC train?
Me, I actually have
assume so.
I actually have considered playing GSC at times because they feel like a slightly more interesting guard list. Well, especially during the vast majority when guard didn't have a codex, I was like, should I just play GSC? They're just like as close as I get to playing guard, and I love guard and I miss guard. But I did not. I don't think I'm going there. I'm not sure I'll ever go there.
That house is just like makes people allergic to GSC, man. No one there plays them.
This one, it's
yeah,
dude. John is his first love is GSC, and he doesn't play GSC. And I asked him why, and he says, "I don't like this book." I'm like,
it's something about that house, dude.
It just turns you off.
It's built on a ley line of
it's not Muscle Beach, so they don't want it.
That's right. It's right. It's only one. There's only one configuration. If it's not merely GSC, they never heard of it.
If there's no vultures in it, John's not interested. Adam, what frightens you most about having your own show Discord now?
That I won't do it justice. I won't engage with people enough. They won't see the value. They won't feel the community I want to try and bring, or the positivity. I also fear it's going to take too much of my time. I'm going to do other things in life shitter because I feel like I owe it to my patrons. So quite a lot, it turns out.
Congratulations on uncovering a bunch of vulnerabilities.
Yay!
For the Snap Check team, hindsight being 2020, what advice would you give Adam about running a show Discord, and what egg dish best describes it?
Scrambled
I feel
eggs
like it's a
done
good
correctly.
And we've run our show Discord, which is into the ground.
That's not even remotely true.
Yeah, we have the best
Love
show
you
Discord.
all.
It's not close.
I think I'm going to take Adam's example here: poached eggs, because someone else is doing it. Because the reality is, we are very hands off with our show. Just like we're involved, but the community moderates itself. The community engages with itself as well as engaging with us. So if you're attracting the right kind of people in the first place, it's going to be a great environment.
Yeah, what we did was we seeded our Discord with people we liked to start with. We were like, check it out. We put a couple of our friends in there just on the side, and then we were just the kind of people we all got to know each other through another show's Discord, which is what brought us together. So we already liked interacting with each other in this way, which meant that people were just getting brought into our interactions, which meant that we've kept the same momentum going, where people get brought into. It feels like we're just bringing 200 more people into the way our friend group interacts at this point, which is super healthy for us, and it's worked really well.
That's a great way of doing it. Wish I had thought of that.
100% too, though.
You
just have to put your foot down like at the right moments. Like you just have to. You'd have to take it off the heat at the right time. Like, so you have to put the heat into your Discord occasionally and like remind people that they can't mostly just random people getting snipey at each other. So you just have to be like, please just don't. Or if like arguments turn circular, you just have to tell them, please stop that.
Yeah,
It's
I
not
keep a
going
real
anywhere.
tight eye on people arguing each other's arguments rather than like talking about like the point, where I'm just like, hey,
slide into your DMs if you want
enough.
to do that.
Yeah.
So you guys don't have a tab called like Fight Club, which is exclusively moderated by Anthony, where he just goes in there and like, you guys have at it. Only one of you can maintain membership of this Discord. One of you leaves. One of you.
No,
stays.
we're not allowed to. We're not
Figure it
allowed
out.
to use Fight Club anymore.
Yeah, we lost the license.
Shit, yeah.
We don't own
Fair.
we don't own any of that stuff.
I don't know that we ever did. I feel like there's a big movie that'd be real pissed at us for thieving.
That's fair. That's fair too.
I've seen a lot of people suggesting that Arch is the most balanced meta of 9th due to the flattening of win rates. What are your thoughts on that? We'll do that for everybody.
Anyone got a coin?
Arcs suck.
Arcs is terrible.
The
The win rates are flat because it's a coin flip, right?
Yeah.
The win rates are good the way that Sigmar win rates are good. And however you feel about that tells me everything I need to know about you.
So
what I'm looking forward to. Sorry, go ahead.
There's no way that this is a more balanced meta than Nephilim.
It's not even close.
There's just no way. And honestly, Nephilim was kind of dull, but it was truly well balanced in the T's and C's of it. As balanced as 9th edition has gotten, easily.
They could have
Uh,
made like
Flames.
3 adjustments, and Nephilim
Yeah.
would have been
Perfect.
fine.
So
Yeah.
the comparison is. Oh, so what do you guys have your opinion? I've got a question.
Yeah, for me, I think one thing I'm looking forward to seeing is once Gunahammer updates with an Arcs of Omen filter on their tabletop battles data, where you can start looking at go first win rates, and you're going to split that out. I mean, I can't say with certainty, but with high confidence, I'm pretty sure you're going to see a heavy skew towards go first armies.
Definitely.
I wonder if the guard, especially the guard win rate. I really want to see what the go first versus go second is. Yeah, I really want to know.
An Iron Hands.
I think Arcs has hidden all of its problems in the fact that people consider Marine subfaction diversity to be diversity in the meta. And that's just not true. I'm sorry, folks. Your 2 versions of Iron Hands, 2 versions of Dark Angels winning everything is not list diversity.
Yeah, when you compare,
some of them are Space Wolves.
Sure.
Sorry.
I see. Funnily enough, I like Space Wolves the most out of this configuration. I also like them the least. It's so weird. I feel so strange about them. They just feel like they have more nuance to them than the other 2, but have a decent game into either. But never mind. There's a different question.
I feel like Space Wolves have the staying power of a wet fart, and it's a real problem.
Yeah.
Like I don't like my Marine Army losing to mortars. That's kind of where I'm like cutting
That
the
is
line.
the thing, right? But you have so many things for them to shoot. You're just like, I've got so many boys.
They fucked up the like in-game like class fantasy, to borrow a term from WoW, real bad. This like play set, this like mission pack. Holy moly, do armies not feel right? Like Guard is the most egregious example, I think, at least when I play against them as world leaders, where like nothing dies, like at all, like because I can just never get to them. Also, even if I had guns, they're 2-up T8 tanks. Like it's like,
yeah,
you just get run over by them, and then you're like, I hope I scored enough, and it's like that's not at.
I hate seeing losing Harlequins. I hate seeing Harlequins lose to Guard in combat. That's been bugging me.
Right? Yeah.
I'm like, why is the Sentinel winning a fight?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. There's a lot of
The
really
ability
cool
to
stuff.
transhuman a guardsman squad is the funniest thing on earth, though. Like, I did it once in combat against a war boss, and if he hadn't had brutal but cunning, he would have only killed like three freaking guardsmen from the Kasserkin squad, and it would have been real funny. But then he rerolled all of his attacks and killed all of them, but it didn't matter.
Have you tried killing that Bulgrin yet?
Bulgrin are funny, and it's great.
The one Bulgrin in the Cadian command squad.
That.
Transhuman and a feel no pain.
And -1 damage.
Yeah.
And a 2-up save, a 1-up in cover.
Yeah. Buddy
It's
lives
great.
through a railgun on average.
And you can bring him back from death. If he dies,
him
just
and
pay a
2 of
CP
his
and bring him
friends.
back.
So dumb.
It is.
I hate Guard so much.
It is inane, the difference in polarities. Like, legitimately, the Space Wolf feels like a Horde army. It feels like an it feels like an MSU Horde army. It feels a lot like what Drakari was when their book first came out.
What did you call them, Anthony? Rats with melta
Rats
guns?
with melt guns.
You just have stuff. Oh, cool. Here's my list. I'm just like, I shouldn't be reading for this long. This is more words than should be on this list.
I hate when my Iron Hands unit my Iron Hands list has 18 units in it. I'm like, I shouldn't have 18 units.
No, it shouldn't. Marines feel like a horde list, and they don't
yeah.
feel durable with the exception of one unit. And then you have armies that should feel durable that are predicated, and their price point is predicated on feeling durable. Custodians of Votan being the 2 that come to mind the most. They're not durable. They're straight up not.
You shoot them with 40 melta guns, they fucking die.
Because we're at such a level of extremes in Arcs of Omen. And so if that's what you're talking about balance, we are so extreme we've reached some weird dichotomy of 50-50ing. Sure.
It's like that Mr. Burns video where everything's trying to get through the door at the same time to kill him, and nothing can quite get through.
And then he thinks he's invincible at the end.
Yeah.
It's like
every single army's trying to be broken, but they're trying to pass through the door, and everybody else is like, "Get back here! I'm just killing you on turn 1."
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think what we've said multiple times about arcs, the biggest problem with arcs is that you've created a situation where skew is like the only way to play. Because you've opened up all the detachments, you've removed all of the balance levers for Marines based on war gear. So the only way to play something like Space Wolves, you're like, well, I'm going to play Space Wolves because I can bring 50 Meltaguns to this match.
If this
And
was
because of
true,
both-
why does the Brutalis thread suck so much?
Because it's not
Like-
priced for free war gear, essentially.
Yeah, it's not priced correctly. Like those units in that book, I'm half betting that we see some kind of silly FAQ or update to the MFM where the whatever they're called, ignore line of sight
Give me
missile troops
125-point detonation.
are going to be
No.
30
Oh,
points.
show
They're
you
going to
the
be
world.
30 points apiece
Mhm.
instead of 35, and their upgrades are going to be free. And then the Brutalis Dread will drop like 20 to 30 points.
20,
to match
20
the
30 points.
Redemptor.
Yeah.
And then
One-
you'll see both
140
of
and I'll
those
play it in
units.
White Stars, I promise.
You're going to see like some Mad Lad's going to bring 30 of those missile troops to a match with Reboot Gilliman
And
in
Seal of Oath.
Ultramarines and
Yeah.
Seal of Oath, and
I'll
he'll
play
turn
50 to
one
the TTS League.
just randomly erase
And-
an opponent.
You just know what's going to happen. And, you know, I don't want to say his name because we'll summon him, but Manny will just turn around in his evil Bond villain chair and be like, indirect, you say.
Yeah.
He's
With full
actually-
rerolls, you say.
My time has come.
I'm running 50 for Vibe Check League with Master Crafter on the Sergeant's Vanguard launcher, so he's damaged 3
I saw that in
You're the worst.
damage 3
You're a
indirect
terrible
is so
person.
funny. 3 damage indirect at strike 6. Who,
I really
Sorry.
want to
who
shoot somebody's
gave
6-man 8-man
Marines?
squad. That's all I want for Christmas.
Marines just got better Dark Reapers, essentially. It's just like way
They
better
did.
Dark Reapers.
Yeah, that's a great way of saying it. Like the Tempest launcher is essentially the. But the thing is, it's totally fine for you to sit there and shoot that Vengeance launcher for a couple of turns, just walk out and 4 Darkland somebody. That's totally
yeah.
acceptable thing to do. But just too many points because you can just do it with Eradicators who are more durable and better
Well, it's-
buff support.
Higher AP.
It's such a weird state of the game, though, to say that like a 35-point model, or earlier today when people were talking about the Azrael data sheet,
Dude,
being 170 points for
it's a
Azrael
nerf.
is too
It's a
expensive
freaking
for
nerf,
Azrael.
mate.
And
They
this is
nerfed
the
it.
world we
Finally get
live
the,
in.
look what's under
where
my name, kids.
170 points for an extra wound, an
Yeah.
extra attack, and an extra damage, and extra strength on a sword is too
I love
much.
it. I love it. I love it.
Plus 30 points, man. It's 100% play rate, man. Unplayable.
It's so good. It's so good. But the thing is, 30 points unhinges that army. It actually unhinges that army.
Yeah.
Because when everything's free and everything is accounted for, literally point for point accounted for to fit in like cherry ripe, just right in there. 30 points just throws it all out of whack. Thing is,
It was
though,
one Terminator. One
Yeah.
Terminator out of 46.
it's the end of the world.
But
I
you
know,
lose a
the
cyclone
world
missile
is
launcher for
The
that.
sky's falling. Oh wait, it's free.
All right.
Yeah.
There was another question from Derek about what's your thoughts regarding the fuck it, it's all free method of organ balancing. I feel like we've covered that there. It's
Horrific.
bad. Horrible.
Horrific.
Yeah,
But-
that's
It's,
real.
and,
The next question
the,
we have is
the worst part of it though is it's lazy.
Yeah.
yes.
It is lazy.
Sorry.
I definitely
continue.
think that like you can't why would you ever own a bolt or plague marine now? Like what's the point of having that sculpt?
Mm-hmm.
100%.
Okay, as a content creator who is often featured in the commentary role, what, if any, methods and tools do you use to work on your commentary skill set?
I listen to a lot of. I mean, so when people are, when I first started, and the reason I just decided to go with the flow and just speak as fast as I wanted is because I was actually modeling myself off StarCraft 2, League of Legends, MOBA streamers. Because I thought, what is the thing that what do I know that is doing the thing that I
They
want to
talk
do?
fast.
They
real
talk
fast when they're
freaking
play-by-playing.
fast. They slaughter the play-by-play. They actually annihilate it. And so that was the first model. And I found that I knew I was already a fast talker. So I was like, okay, I can do that. I can do that. I started like bumbling along. I would read a book and I would try and talk along with the commentators, like try and hit syllable for syllable, just and I found I was good at it. And then of course I jumped in. I've been doing this for I think just about as long as anybody. I think War Games Live Joe and and Rob the Honest War Game and some of those people they've streamed more than me now. Like they've lapped me in hours, but I think I've been doing this as long as anybody. And I've learned that it doesn't really matter what you say all the time as long as you're saying something. The stream of consciousness is not the best way to go. Sorry, am I going off topic? What was the
Very
question
good.
again?
No, go for it.
Yeah.
Are there any methods and tools you use to work on your commentary skill set? And is it something you conscientiously try to improve on, or is it a lot more casual approach?
So I've gone more casual. I tried the professional level, and I've backed it off more and more as I've gone. Hopefully, that's because I've gotten better and I know what's relevant now. But so the way that my whole concept for streaming, and I hope this has been pervasive in the way I've done it, is that I want to. So unlike a lot of sports, I analyzed a lot of sports when I was first getting started with Down Under Network back in the ye old days of 2017, 2018. Which feels like a lifetime ago.
Ye old days.
Me and Josh Diffie just put a camera on a table and started talking, and that's pretty much why I'm here now. And I analyzed 40K. I knew enough about 40K, and I'd watched enough sports by this point. I'd looked at enough commentary, and I realized there are sports where all the commentator needs to do is explain what's happening. That's all I need to do. That they could just be in a revolving door of explaining what is happening constantly. Basketball is a great example of that. Australian rules football is a great example of that. The commentators don't need to say anything except what is occurring on the table. 40K is not that game. A better comparison to 40K is something like billiards, darts, golf, cricket, chess. Exactly. You need to. The game is not going to is going to be the focal point for something like basketball, and all you need to do is call the action. Whereas in 40K, the commentary needs to uplift the action. I need to hold up the action and make it something that you can disseminate. So you can just watch a game of basketball, with the commentators off, and you will get 80%, 85%, 90% of what you were viewing. As long as you know the rules of the game, you will understand. And if you don't, you will know the number goes up when the guy gets the thing in the hoop. Cool? Yep. Good. I figured this out. The guy blew the whistle. Everybody stopped. I can figure this out. 40K is not that game. I need to look at the game, and I need to be good enough that I look at the game, interpret it, and when I shoot it at the microphone, you understand. And it's a very hard thing to do. I challenge anybody to give it a go. If you don't.
It's real difficult.
It's freaking hard work, man.
Once at Charity Hammer, and I was like, "This is what?"
Yeah.
I've done like a half dozen games total, maybe a dozen now. It doesn't get easier unless you put real effort into it. It's just you can talk about 40K, but making it something people can engage with and understand casually, especially when people are dropping in and out of the stream.
Exactly,
it's real hard to keep that flow.
The next thing is that we've started to get so good at that. Well, we're starting to get good enough at it that we can start to have people in roles. You have people who are color, you have people who are play-by-play, you have people who are just kind of, I call them like ringmasters, you're in the Big Ten of a circus, you have the ringmaster. Guys like Paul Murphy, he's a ringmaster because he doesn't necessarily understand what is happening on the game. He doesn't need to. His job is to just bring out key points, explain them, and dump, and then bounce off the other person. Whereas the color commentator is the person who the so-called expert at the time. They need to give you the juice. He is there to promote the juice, and so it's standard. It's a whole thing again that you could look into if you wanted to, and that is more copying of stuff like pro wrestling, boxing, MMA, where you have an expert in the chair, and then you have somebody who just loves what they're seeing, and they're just like, oh, this is crazy. I love this unit, Lord of Skulls. Tell us what it does. Tell us why people should care. And then the other person just be like, man, Lord of Skulls, it's got this guy, it's got this son, couldn't go there, it's going to move from here up there, it's going to declare a charge in this direction. Could use this stratagem.
And it dies to 3 metal guns, and you're like, oh.
And then a single tier.
I think at least 4.
4. But that's
heavy metal rifles.
The envelope is being pushed, and it continues to be pushed, and so we'll see where we end up in another couple of years of commentary. Yeah,
perfect. That was from Logan Sama as well, who is a esports fight.
Yes, I know of
fighting
Logan.
Commentator. So
it's phenomenal.
In the spirit of the show title reference, did Adam give you, Nathan, a Vegemite sandwich?
I have met Adam in person exactly one time at LVO, which was the funniest interaction because Adam walked in and immediately said, "Hey, it's Stat." And I was like, man, nobody has actually called me that in person as a greeting before. And it was great. I actually tried Vegemite years ago when I met up with some friends in Denver who are from Perth, and they brought Vegemite with them because they wanted... They thought they were going to torture me with it, but they put it on toast with like a little bit of butter, and it was fine. It was good. Delicious. I would eat Vegemite again. Mm-hmm. I don't have any complaints. I think I can actually buy Vegemite in the store now here in the grocery store.
Buy it here. It's weird stuff.
In Chicago.
It's delicious.
I think it's fine on toast. I haven't gone out of my way to buy more of it, but I probably should now to remind myself what it tastes like because I don't remember anymore. Really
delicious with avocado. Funnily enough, yeah,
I would believe it.
Can you give us a quick rundown of the GOAT battle?
So we have to explain what the goat battle is.
Okay, so
Oh, no.
So we have the vibe check league going on right now, and TJ made the brilliant move of
Rookie
suggesting that we recommend an army for him. And he said GSC, demons, or question mark. And so naturally the question mark led to certain people within the Stat Check Discord recommending that he play the Warp Meld Pact Army of Renown for Thousand Suns. Which for anyone who is not familiar with it, it has made one appearance since its release at
terrible.
the GT level. One. It is bad. It is terrible. You lose. I'm going to give you a real rundown of it. You have to have more goats, Zangors, than rubrics or scarabs. You cannot take any named characters. You do not get access to the Discipline of Vengeance. You lose Brotherhood of Sorcerers, so you lose your +1 to cast. Everything in your army gets a 5-up invul now. And you get access to a few stratagems that are kind of cute. Like one of them is a pregame upgrade where you can make your spawn +1 toughness and +1 strength. Neat. So TJ had to run that list, and TJ got paired into me round 1. I had just submitted my latest Raven Wing jank as my list, and we were playing mission 11.
How many shots does that Raven Wing list have?
It has
Too many.
6 land speeder tornadoes. So that right there is 36 assault cannon shots
48
and 12
shots,
melta
yeah.
shots. 9 attack bikes, so another 18 melta shots and another 36 bolter shots. 2 Talon Masters, so another 36 shots. It has a lot of guns.
It's got guns.
And TG went first, advanced everything towards me,
Hit an 11-inch charge.
hit an 11-inch charge with the spawn, killed 2 attack bikes. Great.
The sheer disrespect to not to point 2 inches back so he couldn't charge you.
What is he going to do? Shoot me?
True.
Charge you, clearly.
He did. He killed 2 attack bikes. I was terrified.
The show, those 2 attack bikes.
He did. Put the 4-up invuln on the spawn, so they're hard to kill. And on my turn, I killed 45 goats and 8 spawn. And one of that unit of spawn that had the 4-up, I made it have a 5-up because I had the Raven Wing champion with the Reliquary of Repentance in the list, where he just parked next to them and said, "All you guys are within 3 inches of me. You get a 5-up. Enjoy."
A terrible person for doing that.
Turn 2, he ran more goats at me, connected with 1 more charge, and then I picked up another 45 or 50 goats. And we called it the bottom of 3 when he had 3 Zangor Shamans left, and that was it.
17-3, baby.
He still scored. He maxed Ritual because I couldn't deny it because he just made it undeniable 3 times. Or twice, and I couldn't make the deny on the 3rd one.
So, yeah, the bet was that if TJ won, Jeremy had to play goats around 2, but
Yeah.
sadly not.
I took that personally.
So
Yeah.
the
If
funnier
Anthony
thing
loses,
was
he's
that
gonna go
during
six
this
first.
game, I got a message from Jeremy that said, "Nathan, I'm not sure I'm going to win because he's going to push into me and I have to push out to score." And I was like, based on that first turn, Jeremy, that I was able to watch, I don't think that's the problem here. But this
We
is
also took
this is
bets on how many
definitely a
would die.
feature. Yeah, there was
I was
definitely a how
wildly
many
overguessed. I thought
how
Jeremy had
many
a lot
no
more shots than he did.
prisoners. It was how many no prisoners points.
No, it was
Jeremy
specifically how
scored.
many goats. It was how many no prisoners I was within like 10, but I was
Yeah, I
wildly
think I
off.
did 84 wounds turn 1.
Yeah, my guess was 83, but the question was goat kills, which was 5.
Yeah. The problem was I had to invest a bunch into killing those spawn that were sitting on my front door because I let them have an 11.
Should have just charged them, bro.
Yeah, wasn't trusting in the Thunderhammers.
Coward.
Fair.
But the highlight of that game was 2 turns of just half my army sitting still so it could hit on 2s.
Mhm.
Bad man. Will asks, Adam, will you be streaming events around Australia in the future? Would love to see some coverage from you.
When I get back, I'm going to be in talkings with some of the good lads running the Oceanic circuits and possibly doing some of those events. We will see how we go. That's me and Diffie just going to sort something out. If he wants me to do it, 100% I'll do it. Especially for the championships, 100% if he wants me to do it, and I don't have a ticket especially. Hey! Yeah, then I'll be there.
What's your favorite army of renown? Crusher.
In existence right now, in the past.
So far, no.
favorite army right now.
There's actually not many contenders, right? It is just Crusher. It was just what even comes close.
I would have played the fuck out of the Covens one if they didn't murder my thick boys right before it came out.
Before it came out.
Yes.
What's the one for the Phobos only?
Vanguard Spearhead.
Yeah, we
Talk
talked
about the best rules ever on the shittest units imaginable. Let's go.
Oh, I know, right? Every time you hit, you do a mortal with
Yeah, boy.
10 dollars.
On anything else, that is incredible. Specifically
on
here,
your enemies, it's any
garbage.
warlord that you hit with your Wii unit just takes mortals.
Yeah.
But it's
You
only
like-
on Phobos units.
if you explain that without telling, if I was to explain to you what that does without telling you what units you can use it on, and then right at the end say Phobos only, you would be so hard for most of that chat. You would just be like, "Oh, really? Tell me more." Oof.
I'm
Tell me
definitely
more.
proposing, like, for the next Greenhammer Blunderdome, that we just do like everybody does a different Space Marine sub faction for Phobos Army of Renown.
Dude. Oh, yeah. The White Scars one, like, goes all right. Like the Raven Guard one goes all right. You actually get to put Shrike in it, which Shrike's, yeah.
Adam's on
just
my
that-
wavelength.
The
Anthony
units-
read that data sheet yesterday, was very disappointed.
I was like, what the fuck?
Strike.
He's only like
Yeah.
140 points and he's a
He's-
chapter master. He's
he's
not that bad.
He's a cheap chapter master that gives you real charge, pretty much. It's yeah.
Okay.
Nathan, Jeremy?
I'm also a big fan of the Coven one. I think it just is cool because I love Coven models. I mean, hence homunculus underneath my damn stuff, and I did a bunch of homunculus style research for my graduate work. So homunculus stuff has a special place in my heart.
I would do terrible shit for updated homunculus models, like, or Coven models.
I all my Coven stuff is converted, which is really my favorite thing because you can convert the shit out of Coven units and they look really awesome.
I miss you so much, Crusher.
Innis in fact
I-
just has
Oh,
a
actually,
plushie that is a Crusher Stampede book. And
way better than that.
I-
When Innis came to America to stay with me, I made sure there was a copy of Octarius, like Threat Rising or whatever, in the bed he was going to stay in when he got into it.
I don't understand this in it. So you say that like Deathwing is boring and formulaic, and then you're like, but Crusher is my sweetheart. I found Crusher quite dull.
Yeah, but I actually innovated on the Crusher list. Everybody was playing like double demon
Ooh,
shit. I
you
was
took
like,
a harpy. Ooh, look at me
Yeah.
there.
No, the Harpy was huge.
The harpy's awesome, but still,
the Harpies were awesome, and nobody else was playing them.
Just
And then it
meme
was like,
money.
oh, I want a super major with this. It was good. Crushed 5 Harlequins lists in a row, like during peak.
I
volume.
loved
I don't know.
walking
I
over.
enjoyed it.
I loved walking down over to the Dice Check boys at LVO. I think it was 2020, and just being like, "Oh, you guys are on harpies, eh?" Just to see what they do. Just mess with them. I know the harpy's good. I'm just being like, run
It was a
harpies,
joke
eh?
unit for the entirety of its time
I know.
up till then.
And they all just kind of like staunched up a little bit. I'm like,
It was the
gotchas.
first data sheet I read when I got the new 9th Codex was Hive Tyrant and then Harpy, and I was so happy to read the new Harpy data sheet.
Harpies were
So
never
good.
good.
Okay, can we have violence toward allies that winning Eldaria list? No. That's not what the show questions is about, bro.
Yeah.
I assume it's weird Eldar bullshit that nobody understands, like every other Eldar list. Go and listen to Vic's episode on Art of War Down Under, where he goes through the Eldar Codex. You'll have a much better and more up-to-date understanding of that.
It's not that odd a list. It's Yanari, so it's always going to be a little
So
Oh.
fun.
yeah, it's bizarre. Nobody understands a single thing it does. The rules are probably wrong.
That is often true with you, right?
Look, man, nobody knows how those psychers work. That's all I'm saying. I don't know if you've read the WC rules section recently, but
Not for that army, I haven't.
wild.
They're
have a-
very clear on what works and what doesn't work in that army, thankfully.
I think we
Are
have
they though?
we have 3 like Eldari one tricks in the US prospect pool, and then Sean's our captain. I just writ off that super faction when I was looking at stuff.
And the last one we have from the Discord, and then we'll take a couple from the chat to finish up. And Adam, UFC talk. Thoughts about the recent pay-per-view with Jones and Valentina?
Ooh, it was good. It was really good. But the best fight was Neil versus what's his name? Rockmanov.
Oh yeah, that was nuts. That dude's a killer.
That was a phenomenal fight. They're both awesome. Like, I love Jeff
Yeah.
Neal. I love his story.
Yeah.
But dude, Jones, people were like, "Oh, Garn's actually a bad match for." I was like, I don't think you understand. Jones is a good matchup for
Jones, there's like a copy pasta that was going around that was like gun to my head, Martians in this in space with the laser pointed at the planet. One fighter has to win a fight. Who do you pick, or we're all dead? It's John Jones, and I like
John Jones.
unironically believe that
It is
Like,
100%
he,
on this planet.
yeah, hand to hand kills any other human being he fights.
It's ridiculous. So what was weird is that people honestly thought that Garn would be able to defend takedowns. They was like, oh, he's probably figured out how to stop being taken down because he got taken down by Ngannou, who's probably legitimately like a 3 out of 10 wrestler. Ngannou, legitimately. Jones took down Daniel Cormier 3 times. Daniel had never been taken down ever, and Daniel's considered to be 11 out of 10 wrestler.
He was an Olympic wrestler.
He 11 out of 10. And you think Garn is going to be able, in 6 months since he got, well, what is 9 months since he got taken by Ngannou, is going to figure out how to not get taken down by Jones.
Also,
sorry guys.
Yeah, like
No,
the fact that Garn doesn't train between fights, and that
That's a lie. I can't believe that.
I actually believe that.
Really?
Because I've known fighters like that are like, until I get a call, I just chill.
They don't.
But
Seems wild to me.
the other thing is Jones is a legitimate psychopath.
Yes.
Like, I'm pretty
Well
sure
demonstrated.
many times over, like just a madman.
So there's a thing. This even refers to 40K. How good do you get, and how successful can you be, to think, before you lose interest? Exactly right, and it's so interesting to be I work in a field very akin to psychology, and I do psych assessments on various peoples. I work in community services. I'm very highly involved with this, and just seeing ultra successful people continue to have a desire to be ultra successful is fascinating to me, because once I'm really good at a thing, I tend to lose a little bit of interest in it. It tends to take a background. I'm like, I'm good at that. That's fine. I can move on to something fresh.
No longer challenging for you.
I want exactly what I want, fresh new things. I look at guys like Eric Lutheris. As far as I can tell, Eric is the best player I've ever met, possibly the best player of all time of 40K. He plays at such a high level so naturally, and it feels like it's so easy for him that I find it fascinating that he doesn't get bored. It's phenomenal. John Jones is very similar in that he is so much better than everybody else. He stopped training entirely for fights. He would go out and get very noticeably hammered before fighting the hardest, scariest men in his weight in the world, and he would beat them all.
Crush them. Yeah.
Surely you're like, I'm done here. Nothing more. I'm going to go try and be a sculptor. Pottery classes. Exactly. Become a baker. This is how my mind works. And so I find it fascinating when there's people out there who are just like the exact opposite. Their drive does not go away. It's fascinating.
I think the only way to be the best in the world at something is to have an unhealthy relationship with it.
Exactly.
And I think that is a very controversial opinion.
Be a bit of a psycho like Jones is. Be a little bit.
But
you're not. There's someone else who will be.
Exactly.
Usually what I say is that, like, when people are like, oh, how did you get so good at 40K so quickly? I was like, oh, I just had a really unhealthy relationship with the game and played it for 12 hours a day on top of working 12 hours a day on top of going to events during COVID. I just did a really unhealthy, stupid thing, and it turned into talent by virtue of grind.
I respect that. I also have to grind for my things in life.
Yeah. But I don't think anyone's that naturally good at things that require lots of time investment. And if you are, you get exposed super fast by people that are good and work hard.
Yeah, exactly right. Especially in 40K, talent will get you to a certain level, and then effort needs to carry the rest. And that's true for so many things in life.
Yeah.
All right. We are going to burn through the last couple of the super chat questions. That's the word I was looking for. Nick Blackburn says, if that chick host were an Illuminati member from Doctor Strange 2, which ones would they be and why?
Well, I didn't see that, so I don't know.
I haven't seen that, so
I've kind of, I don't know. I haven't seen it either.
Damn it, Nathan.
Give me a chance.
Definitely not the guy that can't speak. That's all I got.
I mean, the thing about Black Bolt is not that he can't speak. It's that when he speaks, he destroys everything.
Oh, he's nuts. Got it.
Yeah.
Yes, he's nuts. Oh, no.
Leave Supernova alone.
Got his chance. He asks, advice for playing Drakari to Dark Angels, particularly Termy Spam, also secondaries in general for the faction.
So what used to work really well was Drazar and Blood Brides. That combination usually meant that you used to get through enough of them.
I have
over the game that you
I've
get.
lost 7 to 1 unit of Blood Rise before. 7 Deathwing Termies.
If I get to double fight, I'll kill 2 squads.
Remember, Call of Strife is gone.
But
Exactly
that's
right. That's
what I was just gonna say.
That's where
No
it goes.
wound rolls is sad.
Yeah, without wound rerolls, they're a lot worse. You can pick up reroll 1 through Chronos, but you're still down to just like wounding on 4s, rerolling 1s at that point.
Just run
So
that
it-
Incubi, guys.
That won't do it.
I don't care.
So
Like you'll get closer, but you're not gonna get there. Fight last actually can fuck Dark Angels though, because they're not like they don't have fights first. So if you get a fights last onto them, you will activate everyone. It's just yucky. Like it's hard to get through they have too much shit now. They do to you what you used to do to them, where like they would kill a bunch of your shit and you'd be like, haha, bitch, I got more. That it's just the inverse
So-
now.
I was playing heavy Deathwing when Drukhari came out, and I think I played Matt Morosoli as I think it was either 7 or 9 times over a
I'm
weekend.
so sorry.
And we learned that Deathwing cannot exist in the Drukhari world. And that's literally, I've been playing Ravenwing since then, or Ravenwing Primary since then. Because I'm like, as long as Matt Morosoli exists, I cannot win an event in Australia.
you're quite close to him, right? So,
There is the ceiling. His name is Matt. He's also an athlete, if you didn't know.
that's true. The athlete.
Very dangerous to
But-
short distances.
What you need to do is the best thing that I think you guys can do is unpin all the synergies. Literal dive bomb characters and go kill the Apoth, go kill the Banner, go kill all those little douchebag Talon Masters. All the things that are going to kill you, and then you're just left with a slow unit, an army of Terminators against super quick Drukhari, and that's not winning situation still because they're probably on all the objectives, but it's a damn sight better than just sitting there getting ground out.
The most fun Drukhari list I played against recently was like 6 squads of the Mortal Wound guns, just like firing about with the minus like 3 leadership venom boats.
Yeah.
And that was
Ball the
kind of
Obsidian Heroes
annoying.
Dark Creed combo.
The guy could not roll the hit for Toffee, and I was playing GSE, so it didn't really matter. But at the Dark Angels, that would be really annoying.
You know what? Fuck it. Triple Tantalus, do it.
All right, Nick, you've definitely been spending too much time in the Art Warhouse.
Yeah, he's corrupt.
It'd be a real shame if the Dark
He found
Angels
3 under his
got real
pillow, and now
wounds.
he's trying to figure out what to do with them, trying to offload them onto this poor guy. Right. Kelsey asks, is Arch Meta what happens when companies look at the wrong stats and based off of it and also selling new models? Kind of.
The Arx meta is what they do when they're phoning in the last 6 months of an edition.
That too.
Yeah, they dropped all the weights. They dropped all the weights off the army.
They've now done exactly the same thing at the end of 7th edition, end of 8th edition, now the end of 9th edition, where they essentially unhinge the edition and essentially make it free play, where everything goes and only the loosest interpretation of
They've tricked us into playing a Nathan's Crusade campaign.
I definitely just love doing that, though. I love the Crusade League. It's silly.
I wish they would just
the silliest
properly
shit.
do that. I wish they would just be like, no data slate. Good luck.
Crocker's back.
Godspeed.
Kelsey also asks, Adam, who's your dream co-commentator?
So,
Either hypothetical, like somebody who is not in the 40k space, or somebody who is in the 40k space.
I always wanted to work with Jeff Robinson. I really wanted to. I always thought he had so much. So much to teach. So much I could have learned off that guy. And I never got to meet him. Didn't even get to meet him. The LVO the first LVO came to in 2020. He passed away some 6-9 months. I think it was like 7 months before. So like literally,
It was about 5 because it was like 2 weeks before WTC.
2 weeks at WTC. Yeah. It was not long after. So I just missed him. Just missed the great man. So he would have been up there. He would have been 100% my first choice, just because I would like to sit and just sponge. It's not so much that he was a good commentator of the game. He was just a great, quick mouth that worked people really well. He worked a crowd. He worked a scene. He worked a room phenomenally well. And if I could just siphon off 10% of that, I'd be so much better at what I do.
And then Martin asked a rules question that I answered in chat. Thanks, Martin. It's a really, really expensive way to get a judge call.
It worked though because I also pinged him in the chat.
What is the answer?
They have so when War Dogs are set up from strategic reserve, they are still a single unit because they split when they're deployed, which means that you have to set up all the War Dogs within six one of them, which makes Mysterious Guardians Helverins a little bit worse when you run threes of them because it's hard to get an angle with the third one sometimes.
Yeah.
So you usually stick with 2 if you're doing Mysterious Guardians Helverins.
No, you can do 3 because it's at least 6 inches of one other model from this unit.
Yeah,
So
I know, but like if you're trying to chase an angle really deep, it can be hard to get the third one an actual line to see something.
Yeah.
So you usually stick with 2s because it's easier to,
the
third one's often wasted.
Yeah.
If your terrain is semi-decent.
Right? Exactly right. The better the terrain, the worse that play.
Yeah, exactly.
Adepticon, you take those. You take
Adepticon run a full army of Mysterious Guardians, strat reserve 1,000 points.
You take a unit of 4.
I'll see you add Adepticon, Adam.
Just
I'll
cheat.
be there.
It's
You
fine.
will, mate. You will. I'm right now. I don't have a team. I don't have a team for Adepticon teams. I'm putting it out there. Let's manifest. If anybody wants me, you can have me. If you don't want me, I'll probably end up on the stream deck with Joe.
That's fair.
I am playing teams, but I technically have a full team.
It is good that you just like going to events if you're going to Adepticon.
Nobody likes you going to events with them.
The team event. The team event is the better event of the two. Like they actually put effort into the team event. They don't.
Oh yeah, did you see that the singles is 8 games in 2 days?
Mm-hmm.
It's you only play 4 though. If you don't get into Top Cut, you play 1.
But what if you do?
Yeah.
Then you play the second day.
I hope you didn't plan on sleeping.
So I want something from 10th edition. And it's not going to be a fan. I want the games to be smaller and quicker. So one thing I don't like about the current state of the game is that the 3-day format is ubiquitously required to get an undefeated player. The fact is that's a gate-kept game. For fundamentally to be a top player, you have to be able to not have a freaking day job because you got to play multiple 3 days here, there, and everywhere to be top ranked or IGC or whatever. Yeah, I mean, so a lot of people can make it work, and a lot of people can't. This is what I mean. Yeah. Like you got kids, partners, whatever.
Or as a teacher, he can't be doing 3-day events all the time.
So I think we need there needs to be a format change that allows us to play. Like, I don't want to say up to 5 games a day, but that could be a thing. Or,
I want to see 2-hour games, 5 games a day. That's what I want.
Yeah, that's what I want. I want back to what we had in 5th edition, where you could smash a game out in an hour and a half if you knew exactly what you were doing.
I have a very controversial thing to say.
Do it.
I think we should stop pretending that everyone that goes to an event can win it and start doing more invitationals, because it is inane to me that we scale event like prestige off of the number of attendees that don't give a fuck about winning it. So what we should do probably instead is have events that matter be invitational based stuff. Brian, you were with me but asleep. Your job is somehow less than mine.
But I get exactly what you're saying. That's the next best thing. Even if we do have a pro circuit, this is also a good change. Like you just get more reps.
I think like 5-round events give you a reasonable ceiling if you have a reasonable player count, as long as the entire thing doesn't need to function by player count.
I think people just don't pretend events need to be more than 64 people.
I think the problem still is that the floor for what we consider a pro circuit is not yet reachable with the player population that we have in 40K.
Or with
like we can talk about it a lot.
Money.
Like invitationals is one thing. Like you can do an invitational, but we don't have enough people to create a circuit out of it.
Yeah.
Like you would lose 90% of the big tournaments would go away because you would only have 16 people showing up to those events.
I just think that there's probably a way to scale like how people ascend the rankings off of something that isn't event size.
So our clever sausage, Josh Diffie, one of the greatest innovators that we've had in our community, he created a system called the over-under events, where you run 2 events, and one of them is a knockout, and as soon as you get knocked out, you flow directly into the GT below. Essentially, you have an invitational bracket. Yeah, that just plays to and one natural winner out of 16 people, and every time you get knocked out, you drop down into the GT. And we could just do that as a thing that is happening at every event. Every event has the top ranked X amount of people of the event are just in the undefeated brackets and are just going to play in that. That's what we call our competitive circuit, and it feeds into the under. That still doesn't stop the issues of like. Then we only have 4-round events because we only have 16 players or 5-round events. Or
well, you could expand them, right? Like at that point, you could do 32 players comfortably with 5-round events.
Yeah, exactly right. So, different size events. I do love that concept. I know Diffie had a lot of issues running that. A lot of people didn't like it because people who didn't make
Nobody
the top
wants to be
cut.
the 33rd player.
Exactly
37th.
true, mate. Exactly right. No one wants to feel like they're just out of contention. So, but then again, we have things like Nova, where you play a couple of games and just get slopped in a bracket, and then you've got the ceiling is in place, and people love Nova. So,
I think that GW is actually doing like a relatively smart decision in this situation specifically, where they have an end of year invitational that they're running, and most of their events are good.
It's going to be
They're
like a
well run.
person event. That's exactly exemplifying the problem.
Sure, but I think the golden ticket system could be done in a different way and like allow you to have some of those pro circuit invitational things, and you could do them differently. It doesn't have to be an end of year invitational. You could have a quarterly invitational for all.
I mean,
like,
they could do it such that like this year's golden ticket winners become part of a circuit for next year, right? This creates like 200 kind of like pro players, so to speak. Borrowing a term, they obviously don't have to be paid. That can play in like a separate thing that doesn't require, again, event-based size scaling, because right now a lot of like what skews even like stats and so on and so forth is that like often at an event you just skull drag 4 dudes there to drink, you play your one real game, and then like maybe something happens or maybe something doesn't, and then that's like this list won a GT. That's like, okay, does that actually mean something?
The other conversation for it's probably not ready for is that like undefeated brackets are not a healthy way to build a community. Like, so many games are playing like 15 rounds where like 12-3 makes top cut. You can lose like a decent portion of your games and still make top cut. It's a super unhealthy format we have that very, very.
But again, that's because of the longer
and
larger game sizes. Like if we shrink down and we speed up, then we can do 9 rounds in a weekend, and you can go 5-1 day 1 and make day 2 top cut.
Exactly right. Yeah, I like that.
Which is a much healthier game because at the moment it's super shit.
It's so polarized.
This question makes me very upset.
Yeah.
Like, I play guard, and this question makes me fundamentally upset.
The question is, Jasper's friend thinks New Azrael is better than Lord Solar. And he's not actually asked this question, he's just asked us to let him have it. So I would like to ask the question now is, Azrael's currently 140 points and does all the same things he does now, but slightly worse in combat.
Yeah.
Is he better than Lord Solar now?
No.
If not, he's not better after.
Sorry. But like, I feel like your friend just doesn't understand what Lord Solar actually does. So he provides a 6-inch aura of reroll hit rolls and wound rolls of 1 to just core units, like broadly. But he also can give full rerolls to hit and to wound to a core unit.
He's Abaddon buff,
or just
also
full rerolls to hit. And he can give orders to everything.
He's
got
essentially
15 different orders he can issue.
So essentially, he is a super chappy, a Primarch, and a chapter master.
Yep.
Wearing a trench coat.
He's also pretty good in combat and gives you CP.
Yeah. He also has a 4-up invulnerable save, takes half damage. Has 6 attacks at AP3, 2 12-inch Thunderhammer shots at AP3, and he lets you switch out a secondary objective or get an extra CP, like whatever you want. And his base Warlord trait is refund the CP on a 5-up.
And how many points? Yeah, same
He's
points.
170 points.
Same points.
350. Boy should be Abaddon points.
He
probably shouldn't be Abaddon points.
He should be more. He should be more
guard player spotted. Goal
legitimately, but legitimately,
Morvenval would be a perfect
comparison.
He's like 270 is probably reasonable.
He probably should be.
She's what, 230 now?
How
280.
How funny is it that we're
she's worse than Solar?
Yeah, she is. Hands down. She's hands down worse. She's 100 points more. That's the thing, is he could be 100 points more and you'd still probably take him.
I hate guard so fucking much.
I hate everything about that. I hate the codex. I hate the faction. I hate the player base.
You leave me alone, NS.
You're not a guard player until I see you play a tournament with them, kid.
Yeah.
I gotta get to Adepticon.
It's going to get to a tournament.
See, I fully expect Adepticon to be the Iron Hands versus guard meta.
Definitely.
And just first turning each other.
Nathan's got all the credentials of a guard player. He almost joined the military.
It's true. I've told that story during a break, I think, once.
I almost joined the military as well.
Yeah, see? There you go. Every time, bro.
Yeah.
Man, that story is so much more depressing when you tell the rest of it, though. but
Yeah.
like there's more going on. I told the rest of the story to Jack Harpster during a break once.
Nathan's a Crusade guard player, the worst kind.
Yeah.
I need something to motivate hobby, and it can't be playing like regular 2K games. I need somebody to give me points for it, and the only way to get points for it is by getting hobby points in this local Crusade league. That's the only way. That's how I hobby.
You can
I
get points
need
in
to
minute shop playing
gamify
golf
it.
in our Discord.
That's true.
It's not the same. There's no prize. I don't get anything at the end of it if I
The
That
win.
you
prize
know
is
of.
satisfaction.
It's true. I need to gamify it.
Taylor's winning that prize.
If somebody will give me like points and a prize inevitably if I meet a goal, then sure, I would do that instead.
Jeremy, if you play one GT. All right, boys, we are going to wrap it up there. Adam, do you want to run off your plugs again, and then I'll do our ones?
Hey, how you doing? My name's Adam from Art of War, Fortune Narrative, and the Thursday Show. You can catch me over at Art of War or Art of War Down Under over on Patreon if you want to support what I do and you like what you see. Tune in for the Thursday Show, which is coming up this weekend. We have two big events. One of them, which one's the one in UK?
Southampton.
We've got Southampton, big old 200 player slobber knocker. We've also got the Rocky Mountain Frontline Gaming's GT over in Denver. So tune in for those two, the meta breakdowns and all the goodness from then. And yeah, if you like what I do, please come over and support me. Thank you very much for supporting these boys as well. I'm a patron. You should be too.
I don't want to do ours now.
I'll do yours if you want.
You should.
We'll
You
just
should
clip
do
it
that,
and use it
Adam.
every week.
Hello,
Yeah.
you're already here. You've been listening for how many hours? So why not jump in and support the boys? They've given you so much entertainment already. There's a beautiful, wonderful Discord that supports you and getting to know more about your faction, getting more in depth, with getting the most out of the beautiful little meta dashboards and all those bits and pieces, how to interact with these guys, milk them for their stats, goodness, and their knowledge. I did say milk them indeed, and I'm going to get away with it. But yeah, jump over and support them. I mean, literally, we've been on here for like 3 freaking hours. How much more do you want before you start throwing some bucks and put some cheddar on this cheese? And is there anything else I missed, plugs wise? Goonhammer,
Patreon
the articles.
Patreon.com.
Yeah.
Patreon.com/statscheck. Jump over to Goonhammer. They do slap down some beautiful stuff. Was it the lovely Cliff was jumping down and put on a recent article regarding why we should be tracking the breakdown for sub-factions and their win rates. And I think that is a very key point we need to highlight. So yeah, jump in, get involved. These guys are some of the biggest and brightest and really pushing the envelope, especially one of my favorite things is Enter the Matrix. Talking to the literal best team players in the world about what makes their teams tick, how to get the most out of your team's play, and how to enjoy the best format of 40K.
Adam, yeah, that was much better than me. So remember to smash that like button and all the other things.
You know what you shouldn't do? Milk it.
Thank you so much, everybody, for being with us. We will be back with you next week. Have a great weekend. Have a great week and play some 40K.
Fuck guard.